Yes, we rule at cricket. The boys, the girls, way too good for Sri Lanka, way too good for England. We'll talk all things Aussie cricket with the boys over in Gaul getting an innings win and the girls absolutely wiping the floor with England 16-0 in the Women's Ashes. Mitch Owen, household name now, if you follow cricket. He guides the Hurricanes to their first Big Bash title with a very quick 100. We'll have a look back at Championship Sunday in the NFL, plus preview the Super Bowl only a week away between the Eagles and the Chiefs. We'll look at some coaching changes, talk all things NFL, plus a little bit of Buckeyes winning the Natty. Huge, pretty much breaking news a few hours ago. Luka and AD are being traded. We'll talk all things NBA All-Stars upcoming and kick that off definitely with the news of Luka going to LA. Plus, soccer, Champions League, EPL, final round. Izzy gets knocked out in the UFC this morning. Let's talk about it all. This is On The Esky. It's an Aussie sports podcast. We like our Aussie sport. We like our US sport. We have timestamps on YouTube. You can skip to the sports that you like or just watch the whole bloody thing. Follow on Instagram, Facebook, X, etc. We like to start the show by shouting a beer to someone or something in the sporting world. Shauno, on my left, who are you shouting?
Yes, well, I wanted to go motorsport today after the Bathurst 12-hour concluded a couple of hours ago. But I'm not talking about Bathurst. I want to talk about Ford because they did two very interesting things. First, they announced that they are taking over the 888 racing team in the supercars, which is here, which was Chev last year. If you know SVG, that was who we raced for. So it's Red Bull Racing, essentially, in Australia's supercars, and they're going to take it over and is going to run the Mustang, which is very interesting because that'll go head-to-head with Toyota because Toyota, the TRD division, is going to be entering supercars as well, and they're going to go head-to-head. Plus, like the next day, they also announced they're going to enter the hypercar class for the FIA World Endurance Championships and take on the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2027. So that's what they're aiming for, which is very interesting because it has been dominated by Ferrari in recent years. I think they've won the last 3 straight from memory. So Ford versus Ferrari is back, is the headline. And, of course, we had the big news about Lewis and his testing recently with Ferrari. So Ferrari's been very much in front of mind as well. So Ford very much looking like they're going to enter and want to compete in the motorsport arena. And it's interesting, a lot of these car manufacturers trying to get back into motorsports. So Ford, Toyota mean the big ones to kind of join the likes of Ferrari and Mercedes, etc. And then you've got Cadillac as well joining F1. So they're all trying to kick back off in the motorsport. So hopefully it'll be very interesting for motorsport going forward.
Is GM and for Australia Holden just sort of fading off into the background?
Yeah, Holden's been gone for 6 years now at this point. I think they didn't run after COVID, I think, for Commodores in supercars. It's been the Chevs and the Mustangs for there. And I think the Chevs are going to be around, but the Camaro, which is what they drive, is kind of end of life, I believe, for GM as well. They're pivoting into other... So, whether like the Corvette, for example, is the replacement, but it's a, mid to rear engined vehicle versus the front engine for all these other ones. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for like a GM competitor in supercars.
Yeah.
Expensive shout of beer, all of Ford Racing.
Yeah, yes. It wasn't a whole country.
Yeah, we have shouted a whole country before.
Please don't drink and drive.
I'm just going to shout the one beer to former Australian cricketer, captain, legend Michael Clarke, Pup, announced into the Cricket Australia Hall of Fame, the 64th inductee. So we were just reading there's going to be 2 more announced later in the year. Brett Lee might be a shout there. Yep. Do your own research. Pup had over 8,500 test runs, 28 test hundreds, average a tick under 50, and was really that bridge between a very dominant Ricky Ponting-led team and a quite dominant Steve Smith into Pat Cummins-led team. Yep. Really carried us with the bat through the late 2000s, early 2010s, and he's now a Cricket Australia Hall of Fame member. We were having a look before at the more recent inductees from a male perspective. Was Ian Redpath, Justin Langer, a few sticks. Might be time for a bowler. I reckon, if you're a betting man, maybe Brett Lee next in there. So enjoy your beer courtesy of the Esky, Michael Pup Clarke. Wikipedia, not to be confused with Michael Clarke, Barbadian cricketer. Thank you, Wikipedia. I wasn't confused. Monks,
Monks,
good
welcome
to have you
back.
back. First show for the year.
Been a few between drinks.
Yeah, how you been? Who you got?
Yeah, been going good. Nice little break over the holidays. My shout out beer this week is for the legend Neil Danaher. We had Australia Day, some call it Invasion Day, here last weekend, and he was awarded, I guess, the Australian of the Year. So for all of his work in motor neuron disease, which obviously he's had for multiple years,
Over a decade.
Yep. Yes, absolutely crazy how long he's been able to live with the condition, but then also all the work he's done to raise awareness and medical research and all that sort of stuff.
I think I was reading over 100 million raised by his charities in the Big Freeze over the last decade. Yeah, so not chump change, that's for sure.
Definitely not,
And,
that Big Freeze just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, every
as
year
well.
it's massive.
Everyone gets behind it.
It's almost like you're highlighting it in the footy calendar now. I'm not going to say it's Anzac Day just yet, but it's something to look forward to on the King's birthday now. I was about to say Queen, RIP. But yeah, it's an incredible story. I think I've mentioned it on the pod before. Reading his book, pretty eye-opening. Just his attitude, not just towards his later life with motor neuron disease, but also his career was really hampered by injury. Missed a lot of footy. Could have played a lot more. And then obviously a legend coach as well. I think he's been fighting over 11 years now, motor neuron disease. A little sad now because it does seem like it's towards the end. He's not talking on his own. Yeah, he's got like an AI thing that helps him talk. Yep. I can't think of a more deserved winner for the Australian of the Year.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, from a legend Australian to some mop-worthy Australians, we'll talk a little bit of tennis here. Novak Djokovic is a controversial figure. Let's put it that way.
Especially in Australia.
Having said that, he's the greatest tennis player of all time. I think it's pretty hard to argue that point. I'm sure you can have your favourites amongst the top three, but when the push comes to the shove, especially if he wins a few more majors, I think there's no doubt that he's the greatest male tennis player of all time. Withdrew from the Australian Open semi-final after losing the first set to Sasha Zverev. Posted his MRI afterwards, which had a tear in his adductor magnus, a groin muscle. Pretty hard to play any sport with that sitting in your leg, let alone something that is essentially all lateral movement.
Yep.
I don't think he was feigning an injury or playing it up or anything. I think he was in some pretty legitimate pain and was probably nursing that injury through the quarters as well. The booing for a guy that's a legend leaving on those terms, possibly the last time that we see him at the Australian Open. He said he's not decided about his future. Yep. It made me a little shameful even to be Aussie. I get that people don't like him for other things that have happened. The COVID stuff definitely got a lot of people offside. Some of the things that he says in the media maybe gets people offside, but to boo him in that regard, I just was a bit embarrassed, to be honest. It was interesting, John McEnroe saying he had the commentary and they started booing. They said they can't possibly been booing. He's won this thing 10 times and it was pretty much of the same ilk there of old John McEnroe. What did you boys reckon?
Oh, I'll play the devil's advocate and take the audience's side in this.
You pay good money.
I think that's the big thing because I think, what'd you say, the finals ticket prices were about $1,800. So for semis, it's probably around the grand to be able to get in the door.
Yeah.
Yes, you got 80 minutes of tennis out of this. I think there's a bit of, did he take that injury into it? Maybe he should have retired beforehand so we could have got refunds on this. Instead of go out there, limp around and try to play in a set and then retire. And then,
but he's a fighter. He's a competitor.
The
only way I don't think he wouldn't rock up is if he'd torn his ACL or something.
Yes.
He's.
But you just said playing any sort of professional sports with that kind of injury was not a good idea. So did he know that going in there? Which I think is the question.
Oh, yeah,
a lot of guys are just. I think the money thing, cost of living crisis, etc., was probably the big reason. I was like, I've paid good money to turn up and see him, and he didn't perform, etc. That I think was the main reason for booing, less of the the cost. If you paid $5 to get in, then you'd be like, all right, I got 80 minutes out of them. Yeah, it was good. But, if I paid over $1,000, it's a different story.
Yeah, maybe if you're dropping a K on semi-final tickets and you're struggling with the cost of living crisis.
Also a great point. Also a great point. So
we're not eating dinner tonight, but we're going to see some tennis.
Exactly.
We're gonna go boo Novak Djokovic is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I'd seen some conspiracies about like his win record in Australia. His record at the moment is like 99 wins and 10 losses. So he didn't want to, he could take a retirement over a loss if he already knew he was being defeated, so he can get his 100. But I was like, I don't think you play an 80-minute set if you know you're not gonna trying to continue to go on.
100%.
Like so, yeah. So put that to the side, but. Back to your previous point, question of how many Grand Slams he's got to win. These young fellas have picked up on him, and it might be a big challenge to actually add to his total going forward.
Yeah,
especially if the body's starting to weigh in on him. And I did check it. He's had 7 retirements in Grand Slams. I think the first 4 were about 20 years ago, so in the noughties essentially, and he's only had 3, and I think only 2 post-COVID. So, including this. So, he's not a dude that retires often in Grand Slams, which is probably why he wins a fuckload of them.
Yeah, I hated any of that rhetoric of a guy that's won, 24, 25 Grand Slams, probably not going out just because he feels a little bit sore. Yeah. Having said that, it's a good little segue into these young blokes. So, Yannick Sinner is now 3 in a row on hard courts. Goes back to back in the Australian Open.
Yeah, and picked up the US Open in the middle of last year.
So, other than Novak Djokovic, it's only Alcaraz and Sinner that are winning Grand Slams at the moment. So, Alcaraz, his total up to 4, Yannick Sinner's up to 3. And then you've got to kind of go back to the Nadal sort of dominance or, back end of Nadal dominance back in sort of 22 for anyone else to be winning Grand Slams. This is going to have a little asterisk next to it, I think, for a lot of people. Obviously, the world's best excuse of I got a steroid rubbed down from a physio.
Yes.
That's why he's allegedly he returned
Justin Tucker
returned a positive.
That's why he's been kicked so well.
We'll get to Justin Tucker a little bit later. It's going to be interesting because I think he has to do his trial for that in April.
Yes.
So if he gets found guilty, there, what happens? Like he's won a few Grand Slams in they're all just going to have asterisks on them. They're going to be Melbourne Storm.
Aussie going to be John Jones,
just
where it was just like
who's the next one up?
He was pulsing and it was like a grain in a swimming pool of it can't be performance enhancing, etc.
It's always sticky, isn't it? Yeah. But I have a feeling that
just be clean.
He's been allowed to play these, and it hasn't. At least from a mainstream media standpoint, ruined any sort of part of the experience from viewing. I think he'll get away with things in April.
Yeah,
not that I'm.
There's still a lot of technique that goes into tennis as well. So it's not. So it's not a pure
anything,
like
bro,
I have the best strength and cardio, so I'm going to win everything. Yeah, he's still. Yes, maybe he's getting a bit of extra help in that area, but the technique is from a physio. But the technique also is what helps you win. So you can't deny that he's playing at the top of his game.
He's so powerful, so powerful, especially against a guy like Zverev, who's 6'6", powerful himself, and just couldn't get near it a lot of the time. Over in the girls, I was pretty surprised because we spoke about things at the quarterfinals, and I was fairly certain, as I think a lot of people following along, that it was going to be a Sabalenka.
Let's hope you didn't bet your house on it.
I didn't bet anything on it. Sabalenka and Swiatek were looking very, very good throughout the early stages, and both bow out in. Sabalenka lost the final, and Swiatek lost the semi-final to a lady called Madison Keys. So her first win of any Grand Slam. She's 29. I think she had kind of started to think that maybe it had gone past her.
Yep.
Was seeded 19 and played really well in knocking off Sabalenka, who has looked pretty much unstoppable in recent times.
Yeah, no, it's excellent.
Yeah, interesting Australian Open. Will be remembered for the wrong reasons, with the booing of Djokovic and some of the Danielle Collins stuff and some of the Tony Jones commentary and
the cringiness of some of the interviews.
Yeah, a few cringe moments.
the one thing I saw about that, which was interesting, is they never asked them tennis-related questions. So on all those post-game, it's less about what's your next opponent, how did you throw, what areas you think you can improve on. It's more just like, how's your hubby kind of thing. It's just like, what do you do for fun? Like I don't know whether they're trying to be
lighthearted,
less relaxing. Well, yeah, lighthearted, and then also don't want all the player coach speak as well. It was just like, which you get all the time anyway. It was like, tough opponent, it was
full
hard,
credit.
Full credit, yeah, exactly. All
you just get it in like a Russian accent in the tennis.
Yes.
Full credit to the boys.
Yeah. That was terrible. That was terrible.
Can't do Russian, clearly. Can't do many accents.
So I thought that was an interesting comparison to say how other sports do their half times or their post games, and it was just which I think led to some of that rhetoric and some of that conversation that happened.
Or maybe they're just appealing to the average Australian tennis fan who, much like us,
tune in at the start of the year,
pays attention for a little bit around Australia Day, and then maybe has a look who wins Wimbledon and the US.
Exactly.
Well, that's the tennis done down under for another year. I hope that people can remember some of the tennis and not just the controversy. Yep. But definitely some talking points. So whatever publicity is good publicity, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's talk a sport we know a little bit more about. Let's talk some cricket. We'll start with the Aussie boys. They have been absolutely dominant there in Gaul, winning the first test by an innings and 242 runs. Steve Smith captained the side with Paddy Cummins expecting. We haven't heard any news just yet of the birth of baby number 2. And then we had Uzi, Travis Head, Marnus, Josh Inglis making his debut. Bo Webster gets another gig after his efforts in Sydney. Alex Carey, Mitch Stark, and then the 3 spinners, Nathan Lyon, Todd Murphy, Matt Kuhneman. Thoughts on Constance missing out first? What do we think there?
I think it was rough, and in hindsight...
Pretty good decision in hindsight.
Well, I also think it would have been fine to let him play in hindsight too. Like, if you want him to learn to play spin, this is probably a good game to give him the opportunity to play in the subcontinent to be able to learn that. And the way they attacked, especially like Travis Head as his replacement as an opener, was pretty much the way you would think Constance would have gone about his game anyway. So, yes, I think it was good. In hindsight, when England's getting done in debut, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I've kind of thought everyone scored runs besides Marnus, Paul Marnus. But, give him the opportunity to help grow. And I guess
who wouldn't have you played then? Would you have left Inglis out?
Yeah.
If you were picking the team?
Exactly. I've carried the team you had, essentially, and... if you really wanted Travis to move up the order, you just move him up a little bit. He doesn't need to necessarily open.
What, bat him 3, you reckon?
Yeah, or if you want to move him up, you can move him up. But I don't think you just leave it the same, and you kind of start preparing for the Ashes a little bit as well. That's the main thing.
I see your point. I do think it was extremely rough on Sam Constance after only playing the 2 tests at the back end of the India series and playing the most enthralling Boxing Day innings that we have seen in recent memory.
I also wonder if that kind of played into it a little bit, as in not like within the team or anything, but just to protect him a little bit. Let's pump the brakes a little bit and let him, build himself in a squad, because we've got so much hype. We've got people crashing cars trying to get his autograph. So, try to, he's a young fella. Let's get him into the team and get him acclimatised to the team instead of trying to hype him up. Yeah, because he goes out, scores another ton and things like that, and we're at all kind of levels of, he's the next Messiah essentially. So,
and look, in hindsight, Inglis goes out, didn't miss
his
beat.
job. So
clearly the right decision there, and some people calling for the dropping of Usman Khawaja, so that didn't turn out to be a smart thing to say.
Well, a tune-up against Sri Lanka probably helped the whole squad. So
still a double century in foreign conditions.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he also scored more runs in that one innings than he did in the entire tour series against India. So
he got boomered. I think.
Yes, I agree.
I think you can make it an adjective these days, getting boomered, as did a lot of our top order.
Mm-hmm.
So
run us through it. What happened?
So
score.
Well, you mentioned Travis Head going up the order. There's been talk about this happening pretty much since the Davey Warner retirement.
I thought it was interesting as well because he had said that I don't want to do it. I don't want to play up the order. And he kind of seems like Steve Smith's captain, and he's gone, you're playing your opening too bad. He's like, all right, Cap.
He did look out of place, that's for sure.
No.
That first over, you just got the feeling, oh, we're going to score some runs this session, I think. He ended up holing out on 57 off just 40 balls. They had the 92-run opening stand off just 14 overs. I was getting ahead of myself. I started Googling. I was like, when's the last time we had a 100-run opening partnership?
I did the same thing. I was like, who's got the high score for Australia? It's Matthew Hayden. I was like, oh, he could bat all day. He's going to get close. He's going to get close to 380.
He's going to make 381.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting that far ahead. Also didn't need to look that up. But the last time that we had...
I was looking at the list. I was trying to figure out where's he fitting. How far is he going to go?
Well, Hayden's 2. It's only...
All time. Brian
Yeah.
Lara's...
there's not... I don't think there's anyone in between them.
Yeah, and then, who else... Like, where was he in the order of the Australians? Where the others had scored?
Anyway, he made 57, so...
Yeah. Didn't get that far.
I think something that was likely to happen, which didn't happen, was going to be a 100-run opening partnership. 12 tests since that's happened. So that was Warner and Khawaja against Pakistan in Perth when Warner went big. And then out comes Smudger.
Needs one.
Yeah, you need one. So stranded on 9,999 after getting dismissed twice in the 9,990s.
Yeah.
He gets 10,000 even and then gets dropped by Joe Soraya off his own bowling.
Next ball.
And then you don't want to drop the best since Bradman, do you? He goes out and scores 141, the second highest score in the innings. And becomes the 4th Australian to score 10,000, joining the likes of Punter, Border, and Steve Waugh, and the 15th total to do it. He's also he's not the quickest to get to 10,000, but one of the quickest.
No. How many tons is that? 2.
35, I want to say. Can you chase that one up?
Check for us, Jimmy.
I think it was 35 for Smudger. Yeah, and again, doing inverted commas, if you're just listening, some pressure that was building up on him, allegedly, after the India loss. He scored 300s since then.
Well, guess where that microscope's now looking at?
Marnus.
Yeah. So,
We'll get to that in a second.
35.
35.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yep.
So definitely on track for 40. I don't think anyone's catching Sachin. No. But yeah, he could certainly get 40 test tons the way that
What
he's
did
going.
Ricky finish with? 43?
41, I want to say.
You can double check and confirm for us, but yeah.
And Callis.
Might go close.
I think there's only 3 guys that have had in the 40s. Sachin
And how many? And Ricky was about 1,300, yeah?
runs, yeah.
Runs,
Yeah, 13 and a bit.
Not 1,300.
So-
Yeah, 30,000, yeah.
I'll just repeat
Sorry.
it. 13,000 and a bit. So Sachin, 15,000, and then there's like 3 in the 13 and a half sort of
Again,
area.
I'm thinking for Aussies, like where he'll finish as a
Well,
full-time Aussie.
Yeah, so he'll definitely catch, barring some sort of catastrophe, he'll catch Steve Waugh and Border.
Yep.
And he's on the trajectory to go 2. I don't know if he's got another 4,000 runs in him to catch 3,500 to catch Ricky. 41 it was, yeah.
41,
Sachin had 51. Incredible. No one's catching that. And then he's 1 behind Root at the moment, who's 36 in terms of the modern Big 4.
Yep.
Sankara as well in there. Don't sleep on him, 38. Should we talk Usman? 232 runs, his first double century. It's his highest score by any Australian against Sri Lanka, anywhere. The 3rd highest score by an Aussie in Asia, only behind Mark Taylor's unbeaten 334. The nod to Bradman in Peshawar in 1998. Greg Chappell also made 235 in Pakistan in 1980. He only fell a couple of runs short of that. Yeah, you did mention that he needed runs.
He needed runs.
Yeah, and
The microscope moving around.
yeah, I reckon he's brought himself to the Ashes off that knock.
Yeah, I agree.
There's still some people that want to question it and say, no, we need to be blooding youth, yada, yada, yada. I don't know how you can watch that innings and think that.
Yeah, well, they've got 5 more test matches before the Ashes now. They've got
I don't think there's that many.
they've got the one against Sri Lanka. They've got the
2 against West Indies?
No, that's a 3-test series. So that's the news on that. They turned that
And
into
2
3, and then 1 for the championship. That's what I thought, and then they go into the Ashes because they do so that's why the whole booking with that West Indies tour is not confirmed because it depended on Australia made the championship game, which they did. So their West Indies games are after that.
It's confirmed
So
3 tests, isn't
And
it?
it's confirmed as a 3-test series. Yeah. So it's those 4 plus the one for Sri Lanka. I thought was it before.
Maybe he hasn't
Ashes.
brought himself to the Ashes.
So yeah, like a bad form.
You play 5 or 6 dud tests.
Yeah, exactly. That period, I guess the West Indies will be interesting. At least he's okay for now. But you also think, well, if Head's doing well as an opener, and could you run Head and Constance together? Like, is it
probably?
But is it too much firepower?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel at the Ashes.
Yeah, do you need an Aussie as like not foil, but as the opposite? Work together. One rotates the strike, whilst the other goes
the
big.
yin to the yang.
Yeah, exactly.
The chalk to the cheese. It's still a long way as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to sort of... I know we're looking at these Ashes. We've got this massive World Test Championship.
I think
against South Africa
it only
first.
becomes a question just purely because of his age, I think is the main thing. And the Ashes is probably going to be it for him.
Yeah, I don't know if we go past that, if I'm being honest.
Especially if guys like Inglis getting goes and hitting tons. So starting to bang the door down.
Took full advantage. Let's talk about him. Josh Inglis, 102 off 94. The 100 came off just 90 balls. It's the second fastest 100 on debut, only behind Shikhar Dhawan. Joins a pretty prestigious list of Aussies that have scored a ton on debut. More recently, they're all WA players.
Yep.
It was, I think, Sean Marsh, Adam Voges.
Yeah, and him. I think
there was one more in there. Marcus North. So the last 4 guys that scored tons on debut for Australia, West Aussies. A bit of trivia there for you.
Where do you think Sri Lanka went wrong in their innings? I know there was the...
Bowling-wise?
Yeah, bowling-wise.
That quick is... Fernando was just wayward. And It's not.
I
like
think
Head was putting away bad balls when they got off to that good start.
I feel like they were pumping his numbers up a little bit on the speed gun.
You reckon he looked,
I don't think he was pushing the 130 they were giving him to.
And then that Paris, the off spinner, looked like the most stock offie.
Yeah.
I think I've seen at test level for some time. I reckon you'd find some Sydney first graders that would bowl similar to him. I like that Van der Sar, the leggy. He had Marnus on toast and. Once the boys got in, they were playing him all right.
Exactly. But I also feel like the pitch gave them more on day one, and then it was hot, it was starting to crack up, and then they had the rain delay at the end of which kind of cooled it down, and I think the pitch kind of died on them, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and it didn't give them anything. It didn't crumble apart and landmines unplayable spin.
No,
it didn't kind of eventuate.
The whole 4 days, it really didn't get any landmines in it. No. So by the time the boys were set, you're playing on a dead wicket. Big partnership, obviously, between Smudge and Khawaja, and the field was so far back as well. Khawaja had 16 fours in his innings of 232. He had those 16 fours when he was in like the 140s or something. Like he didn't have to hit boundaries for his second or his last 90 to 100 runs. He just had to just knock the ball around and take the ones and the twos. So I don't know. I suppose you want to keep attacking, but what do you do when you've got 2 blokes out there and that partnership was...
Yeah, well, Smith's going
massive.
well, and then Inglis comes back out and hitting a run of balls.
It's 266 run partnership. Good luck.
Yep.
Good luck. They looked a class below, which is a shame because they've actually played a good 2024. I was having a look at some of the numbers. Chandimal, Mendes both had good years with the bat, and on their own backyard, our spinners got the better of them. So shout out to Matt Kuhneman. 5 for 63 in the first innings. They absolutely crumbled. Lost 5 for 9 to finish their innings. Poor Dinesh Chandimal getting dismissed twice in a session. It doesn't happen very regularly in Test cricket. And then Matt Kuhneman ends up with 9 for in the match with a non-bowling hand, but a compound fracture in his thumb,
all taped up,
like 2 weeks beforehand in the Big Bash. So massive toughness from him, and talk about taking your chances. Did really well there, Matt Kuhneman.
Yeah, I think for the Australian spinners as well, they didn't get a huge amount out of the pitch as well. I think they were just better, more consistent. And the Australians, once they got ahead, were very aggressive in going after them.
Yeah, talking about not too much spin, that Karunaratne dismissal when he left it and it took the top of his off peg.
Didn't move.
He played for spin. He played for spin. That was a karaoke special.
Yeah.
That didn't move at all.
No, it just went straight on.
Yeah, straight on. Didn't get him off to a great start.
No, not at all. So. Get hammered, and then that next test match is
Thursday. So, provided people aren't sore or want a rest, I can't imagine anyone would want a rest. We probably go the same 11, you reckon? Scotty Boland is there or thereabouts. Mitch Stark only had to bowl 13 overs. I think he had 1 for 14.
Actually, question: did Webster bowl at all in this game?
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah.
Travis Head bowled 2 overs. So they didn't need Webster, and Toddy Murphy only bowled 17 in the whole game. So it was really just Kuhnemann and Lyon that were getting the bulk of the overs.
Yeah,
I imagine we go unchanged.
I'd say so, unless they want to give. I actually thought they'd give Stark a break for this game and get Boland a go, but yeah, maybe they do that for the next game. Like that's the only thing I could think of. And if they want to make a batting rotation, like get some other guys some match time essentially. But otherwise, I think they'll probably stay as is.
I doubt Starkey's giving up his spot willingly. No. I think he would only be getting a rest if he's pulled up sore, which after bowling 13 overs, I doubt that he has.
No, I thought he was more sore coming out of the series against India.
Between Melbourne and Sydney in that short turnaround and some of those hot days.
Yeah, he seemed like he was struggling a little bit with sore back and stuff like that. And you're just like, oh, maybe he needs a rest. But obviously he had enough break in January, so he was good to go.
We had to get his 700th all-format wicket as well. We were talking about that pre-show. So joins a pretty illustrious crew. There's only 4 of them. Mm-hmm. One bloke did it in test matches. Shane Warne, you might have heard of him.
Yep.
Who were the other 2 we had? McGrath and
Binger, yep.
Who only had 28 in T20s. So did a lot of ODI work, old Brett Lee. Yep. Next to go in the Hall of Fame, maybe. Anything else, Marks? No, all good?
No, not really, yeah.
All good. We'll keep an eye on it on Thursday. It is nice to see the boys get runs, take wickets. Probably wouldn't have minded it to be a touch closer.
Yeah. Longer. But, the thing we didn't mention is they forced the follow-on as well because they were so far ahead. And first time since 2022, I think they've done that. And
we've enforced follow-on?
Yeah, we've enforced follow-on. And I think it's like that and one other time maybe in the last 10 years. It's rare that we do it. So, So, probably a little bit more competitive and last longer than 3 days, please.
So we've retained because we already had it, but we actually haven't won a series in Sri Lanka since 2011. So it's Test cricket. The boys will want to win. It's not just a tour match as some people have been saying. All right.
I suppose I do have a question. Steve Smith captaincy is that a thing looking into the future, or do you reckon Paddy Cummins got it?
Yeah, Paddy will come back. I don't think any changes we made there. He's had an incredible run of captain with Ashes wins and World Cups.
But having said that, Steve Smith's percentage as captain is better. He's also very good.
That is true. But I think
he's a little bit more of an aggressive captain.
That is also true.
Is definitely true. So... but I think his voice is still well heard in that team, regardless of who's captain.
So. You also have to think that Cummins inherited the post-dick pic, post-sandpaper gate team as well.
Don't put that jinx on him. It's like nothing happens to him.
Old Blue Eyes, he's too squeaky clean. He won't do...
No massage parlours for him.
No hanging out with Justin Tucker. All right, women's Ashes. Yeah. Another team that just pounds other teams
especially England, which is
that's right, into the ground.
Yeah,
win the only Test match of the series by an innings and 122 runs. Mm-hmm. They had a weighted series number, so it was like a 3-2-1 thing, I think, for Test.
Doesn't matter when you win them all.
Yeah, that's right. they won 16 zip in the way that they scored it. So first whitewash in this Ashes multi-format history. Had a reasonable gate, a reasonable attendance there at the MCG. Monks, were you saying it was the biggest attendance for women's cricket?
Yes, I'll have to actually Google that.
I think he said 11,000 on the last day, maybe.
Yeah,
so like entrance. So going in there and watching.
Well, they have day one. It'd be interesting to see. We bowled England out for 170, pretty much off the back of Alana King, who was very good throughout. She had 4 for 45. And then enter our batting superstars. Annabelle Sutherland made 163. It's her third Test 100. She's only played 6 of them.
Yep.
Averaging 83. She goes pretty good. And then Beth Mooney becomes the first Aussie girl to score hundreds in all 3 formats with her 106. I think she was on 98 overnight as well, so it would have been a nervous sleep for her a couple of nights ago.
And didn't Perry come out at number 10 as well after she was dealing with a hip injury? So the Aussie girls bat deep.
Let me have a look. Yep, she came out at 10. Pretty incredible.
Actually, didn't get very much.
Yeah, well, I suppose she didn't need to because we were 300 ahead by that stage, or thereabouts. That top order looks good. Like Sutherland, the anchor at 3. Elisa Healy, who's actually dealing with a stressy in her foot.
Yes,
I think, but should be good for the middle of the year. Beth Mooney, Ash Gardner, Talia McGrath. Like the middle order is stacked.
Yeah, so good. And unfortunately for the English girls, they couldn't hold on to the ball. They dropped it. It's like
I'm glad women's cricket has come a long, long way, and I'm glad it wasn't our team. There was some of the most ordinary fielding I've seen. Period.
Yep.
And we've seen some pretty ordinary fielding from some of the men's teams that have come out here in recent memory. It was just dreadful. And look, you make elite female cricketers, you give them chances, they'll make you pay. And that's what both Sutherland and Mooney did. Ash Gardner for her 44, I think she got dropped like 3 times. Yeah. It was just dreadful. And some were relatively hard chances. There was about 4 just dollies in there. So catches win matches. Unfortunately, the English girls couldn't take them. Alana King, we mentioned her just before. She had 5 for 54 in the second innings, finishes with 9 for 99 in the match, 23 wickets across all the games there, and she turns the ball a fair bit. Saying pre-show, wouldn't mind having a male link like that at the moment. Gets good drift, spins it a long way. Had some people saying maybe a little bit of mayo on it, one of the balls of the century, definitely definitely a very good rock. She's a superstar. And pretty much off the back of her, Sutherland and Mooney had the English on toast.
Yep. It's actually crazy to think that after Shane Warne, you would have thought the next generation
all wanted to bowl leggy.
Yeah, all wanted to bowl leg spin. I guess it's just that hard.
Yeah, maybe it goes the other way, and you just realise how hard wrist spin bowling actually is to do, and that's why a lot of people maybe give it a try when you're playing under 12s, and then you drag a few down, bowl a few half trackers, and you get hit 4 sixes in an over. Go, this is hard. I might try and bowl meds or try and bowl finger spin because it's bloody hard to control that thing.
That world record was 23,561.
Day one?
It was...
Was that in total across the days?
I'm trying to get this right. So it would have been second day of the day-night test.
Scroll down here, and I think you had it there. Yeah. That was total. Total was 23,561.
Yep.
Okay. So that's the...
Total over the...
Yeah, over...
4 days.
Yep.
It was actually pretty interesting as well that both teams won within 2 minutes of each other as well.
It was really close. It was interesting scheduling as well. We were sort of talking about that. Yeah. Like you would think maybe not scheduling them at the exact same time might be...
Especially day-night. Like if it had been just a normal test, it would have finished and rolled straight in.
Have one session overlapping.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they didn't want the girls to play day-night and play a day-time test, you'd have less overlap. Yeah. Maybe they knew. Maybe Sri Lanka known for a bit of rain. I'd definitely flicked over a couple of times with rain and watched a fair bit of the girls that way. Yep. So either way, it's
really the scheduling, because we almost wouldn't have had any viewing of the Sri Lanka test. It was really the last minute where that Channel 7 came in with the broadcasting rights, wasn't it?
Yeah,
which is probably why. So
that's actually probably the reason their monks could pick up there. Yeah, Channel 7 got the broadcasting rights down here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, if that,
Yeah, so maybe that had sort of played into things as well, not having a broadcaster ready to go early on.
Yeah, and I don't know when to say it's last minute, but I think they only sent Cadage over there as well for commentary. So they didn't have anyone else actually on the ground.
There wasn't many there, was there? Like in Sri Lanka, they kept coming back to the studio.
Yes, yeah. It's mostly Sri Lankan guys, and Cadage, I think, was the lucky one to get the paid trip.
It's be a good one, I reckon. Sri Lanka looks nice there. The old fort.
Oh, the fort, they look beautiful, but I think 96% humidity will probably do me in.
Yeah, that's
Just
right.
pasty white boy on the end.
Have to stay hydrated, mate. Talk some Big Bash.
Yeah, let's finish up.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of notes there. It was a little while ago. We don't have to go all through it, but let's talk about the final. So to get there,
Ninja Stadium.
Canes had to beat Sixers. That got them through to the final.
Don't try to work out what the name is.
Yeah, it's qualifier, knockout, challenger, final is the way that it goes. Okay, so they won the qualifier, which meant the Sixers got the winner of Thunder Stars, which was Thunder.
Yep.
And then it was a Sydney derby, a Sydney smash, I should say. Smashing. Nigel, what's his name? Nigel Thornbury, smashing.
Yes.
A Sydney smashing.
Only 90s kids will get that one.
Yeah, all the kids that don't know how the Big Bash works.
Pretty much.
Eliminator. What?
So, anyways, Challenger, Eliminator, whatever, Gladiator was there. We end up with the final at Ninja Stadium. First time it's been in Hobart. Sea of purple. Thunder go out there. Actually made a pretty good total off the back of Jason Sanger and David Warner. They had a 97-run opening partnership. They only made 182, was maybe a little bit under. They probably needed 200 plus. And if you didn't know the name already, you probably do now. Mitch Owen looks like a pretty genuine white ball superstar. 108 of 42 he finished with. They got the runs with like 5.5 overs to spare. Did it so easily. Finished with 108. He had a 39 ball 100, which equaled Craig Simmons' record for fastest Big Bash 100, and he hit 11 sixes in that. He also, at his first 3 balls, there was a leg by and there was a few dots in there. He didn't score off his first 3 balls. So you take that into consideration. It's pretty crazy.
Still a little warm up and then bang.
So it's his second 100. So remember a few weeks ago we were talking about how Smudger has 3 Big Bash 100s, and there's only a couple, him and Ben McDermott, that have got 3.
Yep.
So Mitch Owen's already in that next tier with a lot of blokes who have got 2. He had them both this Big Bash. Finished with 452 runs at 45, striking at an incredible 203. The IPL auctions obviously already happened for this year, but he keeps scoring runs like that. There might be a few Indian franchises that take note.
Yep. Oh, definitely. Might get a late call up if he's lucky. If someone falls there.
I think he'll play white ball cricket for Australia this year. Given what highlights I watched most of this and the highlights that I saw of the rest of the Big Bash, he looks pretty incredible. Didn't fail much either. Like, he had the 200s, but when he was getting out, it was 30s and 40s, and
Getting him off to a good start.
Yeah, getting them off to a reasonable start.
So where does he fit into the Australian team?
Yeah, I think he'll play a T20 international, I reckon, at some stage. I reckon they probably, although he had a very ordinary Big Bash this year, have him and Jake Fraser-McGurk probably up the top.
Very close. Yep.
Mitch Marsh will continue to captain the team, but he won't be there in the T20 format for forever. Yeah, so you're going to need a bit of a changing of the guard. Tim David's still relatively young. He'll be there in the mid order. I think Travis Head can play elite white ball cricket.
Steve Smith.
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? Because
and then they picked Maxi and Stoyan.
Maxi should be there. After watching the Big Bash this year, you're like, holy shit, when he had that 90-run partnership, the other bloke didn't score a run. Maxi should still be there. Stoyan's going to need to do something. As much as I love the big puppy Stoyan. But yeah, I think watch out for Mitch Owen making an Australian debut in the coming years. I think T20, I don't think quite. I haven't seen enough. It's probably a bit too early for ODI.
I definitely.
But he'd be putting his hand up there as well.
Jimmy, who got the most runs and who got the most wickets for the tournament?
So Mitch Owen, including the finals, got it, and Cooper Connolly beforehand. So I think the award goes to Cooper Connolly.
Okay.
But then if you include the finals, it's Mitch Owen. So the stats that you get there should be Mitch Owen 452 was most.
Let's see how fast he is.
Yeah.
How rusty he is.
I think he's got some rust on there.
Laptop hasn't been on for a while. So a little bit slow.
So including finals as well, Dave Warner 405.
Yep.
So he would have played the 3 finals.
Yep.
Then Cooper Connolly 351 had the most without a final. Maxwell there 325. Stoyan 311.
He wasn't too bad for the tournament. Wickets?
Dorf, I think.
Yep.
So he had 17 per Scorchers.
He changed teams as well.
He's going to go to the
Last
Renegades.
season at the,
So going to finish up his Big Bash career in the coming seasons. Canberra's own Jason Berendorf down at the Renegades. I think he's been part of the Scorchers since like Big Bash 2 or something. It's a staple of Scorchers cricket.
2012, 2013.
Yeah, that'd be about it, wouldn't it? Yeah, so he'll be missed in the furnace, that's for sure. Going over to play for the red team in Melbourne. Who else was up there for wickets? I think we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago because Steketty had like 15 in 5 games. He didn't play enough. And then it was Tom Rogers and Riley Meredith had more than him. But Meredith obviously played finals there too. Pretty handy that Tom Rogers as well. Yep, well, that's the Big Bash done. I like the format now that they've got with the 10-game regular season rather than the 14. Doesn't drag, I don't think, as much. Be interesting from a scheduling perspective, as well as we alluded to last pod, how much I think it's cool to see, when Steve Smith's playing for the Sixers and Travis Head's playing for the Strikers. And
it's very different. With Steve Smith playing for Sixers, they looked unbeatable. So
the way that he's played when he's worn magenta recently has been pretty incredible.
Do you want to answer McGrath's question?
Reaction to Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble. So there was WWE today. I actually got no idea who that is. So thanks, Macca. We'll have to get you back on the pod and you can run us through it.
I think the way he won, where he just had a light shove of John Cena off the apron to get the actual win here, was maybe not the most impressive end to the Royal Rumble, but he did get it. I haven't followed their storylines well enough to know what he's aiming for, but
for about 15 years.
But I did see, John Cena was aiming to try and win at WrestleMania.
You can't see him, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I can see. Well, Usho Speed was out there wrestling in the Royal Rumble as well, and was a part of that, and did the usual walk past John Cena, pretend he wasn't there. But Cena, in his his press conference, says he's aiming for WrestleMania to get the 17th win, which I think would be the most title wins. And then he wants to shake the hand of whoever gets 18, who breaks that record in the future. So. Pretty impressive. He's still got a good rig for being in his 50s, I think, now.
He's in his 50s.
50s.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You can give me an official age, but that bald spot on the top of his head is not going away.
Flat Devon. Say to his face, bro.
Yeah.
That's pretty good off the top of the head there. Did a WWE. I hope that answers your question there, Mac. Thanks for your question. Also, thanks to Steelers Nation Australia in the comments, sticking up for us against Ruben F. You suck, Ruben F. Get your own podcast.
It's 47.
47.
He's getting close to 50.
there.
There you go.
All right. Should we talk some NFL?
Yes, let's do it.
He broke his ankles.
We've got a week to go until Super Bowl 59. Let's look back at the conference championship games to talk about the two teams that got through. Obviously, it's the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Eagles finished the fairy tale run for the Commanders. Really dominant display on offense. I think they scored 8 touchdowns. The game finished 55-23. Commanders started off well with a 7-minute drive to start off with, and then Saquon houses the first play from scrimmage, and you're like, "Ooh, this could be a long night."
Yeah.
It was 27-15 at halftime, and then the Eagles just continued to pile on the touchdowns.
As all playoffs have been, turnovers have been the story, and they
big time in this one,
especially once you get behind. But 3 fumbles and a pick really doesn't help.
It's definitely true throughout the season. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's just that you're playing more quality opposition or the stakes are higher. I think
it's both those things, because you get behind, you got to take chances, and chances lead to turnovers. So
you lose a turnover battle, you generally lose. You lose it, by 3 or 4. Good luck. Saquon just looked unstoppable behind that offensive line. He finished the game with 15 for 118 and 3 touchdowns. So regular season obviously had the 2005 rushing yards.
Yep.
From his 3 playoff games, he's had 66 carries for 442 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Wild. Eat your heart out. There's also a chance that in the Super Bowl, and you might need to chase this up, he could get 3,000 all-purpose yards on the season, including playoffs, which is pretty incredible kind of stuff. So, yeah, just rushing-wise, he's already on 24.
I can only think of
4-7 or
TD
something.
that maybe did that. Terrell getting his 2,000 and then he did he get 1,000 in the playoffs? So maybe not. It's
like
pretty hard.
Did he catch the ball? You need to.
Yeah, I don't think Terrell. Well, he did up to a point, but not as much as they do these days. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of RBs that might have gone close. Because LT's best season.
He had 2,000, but he didn't catch the ball that much, and they didn't go deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's tough.
It's pretty incredible. That one that he housed, the first play from scrimmage when he took the pitch left, how's the balance? Like when he's getting hit on that left sideline, he does the spin. Like it's like a slow spin move whilst he's still, at speed. And then it's just, as soon as he's in the open field, you're like, all right, see ya. That's 6.
Yeah.
Good luck to the Washington Commanders. Commanders, to their credit, they were playing with house money, that's for sure. No one expected them to go this deep with a rookie quarterback. We did mention a couple of weeks ago that no team has even made the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. So for Jaden Daniels and the boys to get as far as they did, pretty incredible. Their defense was lacking, I think, in this one. And it's going to be a good talking point for when we get to the Chiefs because, stopping the run is going to be very important come Sunday week.
Yeah, I agree. And Jalen Hurts, not to say that he's been carried throughout the whole playoffs, has played very much second fiddle. I think AJ Brown's numbers have been significantly down, but I think they've built this team this way for that reason. Is we got Saquon to try to win a Super Bowl with the team we've got, play really good defense. Their defense has got names all over the place, so they've got good defense. Take the risk off Jalen, make him do what he needs to do.
The Commanders and the Eagles to be in the NFC Championship hurts my heart as a Cowboys fan. Thanks, Little Cartel, for your comments here. And this might hurt even more if you're unaware. The Cowboys now have the longest drought for making the NFC Championship game.
He's probably well aware of it.
Out of all NFC teams, which is crazy to think of. The Cowboys, America's team, the most dominant team in the late 90s. Every single NFC team has now been to the NFC Championship game since the Cowboys did it back in the late 90s.
I'm not sure about their coaching hire as well.
We'll get to that in just a second.
It was coached within, to give you some hope. I don't think there is any way Jerry Jones is still there. I think he's probably a little bit past it, and that team's just struggles.
Him, Joe Biden, a lot of similarities.
You said it, not me.
I could have compared him to a different Biden.
Yeah, true.
Just, old, maybe senile, questionable. I don't know.
Some serious questions. Like what they didn't do in free agency last year, you just really wonder.
Yeah. And look, injuries, Dak hasn't played a full season for over 2 years. They need that to happen. They need Micah to stay healthy on the defensive side of the ball.
Big time.
There's a few things at play there for those Cowboys. Amongst their rushing yards?
Most rushing yards in a season, including playoffs, Terrell Davis, 2,476. Saquon is currently on 2,447.
So he needs 30 yards in the Super Bowl.
You'd think he'd get
so he's going to get that barring injury.
Yep. All-purpose yards, single season, Darren Sproles, 2011, 2,696.
Is there anyone there up the top there that's not a returner? Derek Mason, Michael Lewis, Lionel Jones, Fred Jackson, Josh Cribbs, CJ2K.
Yep. So 2,500.
2.5. Yeah. So, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy that he's even in QE.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's why they've gone to another Super Bowl. And looks like they're going to be taking on the Chiefs, who had a pretty good game there against the Bills.
Yeah, they did. There's going to be a lot of rhetoric around referees, and I think we'll talk about that in the Super Bowl preview. For mine, they've made 7 championship games in a row. They've hosted 6. This is the 5th Super Bowl in the Mahomes era. Yep. I think they make their own luck, I think, a lot of the time.
To a point, but then
You disagree?
Josh Allen being called short.
That was a questionable spot.
Yeah, and I think there's a 5-minute highlight video of where the refs place the ball and where the person actually got, and it's always shorter. So, there's a lot of those questions that the ruling of the worthy catch after the ball clearly hits the ground, I think was another pretty big one. But I think those calls also get made, have reached that magnitude where there's just so many people picking on it. I've been talking about it all year because, I watch it almost week in and week out, especially when they play in Denver. So I think they do get a lot of what looks like help from the referees.
Yep. Steelers Nation agrees with you.
Yeah, there was also that one, they called that on the Dalton Kincaid was it Knox? Maybe it was Knox. The one that on the 4th down where he dropped.
Kincaid.
Yeah, they didn't make the catch. There was already a flag on the field, and they picked that flag up. So everyone was just like, they'd already called the flag to nullify any conversion on 4th down, just to be sure. So
I think it's rigged.
Yeah, you're just like, need to have Travis retire with Swift after they win the 3rd Super Bowl in a row. So, that's what the photo they want to have on all the newspapers.
Who's they? Roger Goodell and his chums.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Smoking cigars around a round table. Oh, we did it again, boys. We fixed the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't know why we talk from the 1950s, but anyway.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that, and maybe they get some favoritism because they play at Arrowhead a lot as well. So, usually the home team gets favoritism, but when you broadcast around the world, they
earn that that home ground advantage, that favoritism.
Yeah.
By fucking braining it in the regular season. Look, I'm not a Chiefs simp here, but I feel like this, like greatness, you just get people to buy into the rhetoric, and then the confirmation bias, and you see one bad call, and then you're Leonardo DiCaprio. Da Vinci's back from the dead, and he's in meme format. Leonardo DiCaprio, they're pointing at the TV. I think the confirmation bias plays into it. You're looking for it, and then every sort of questionable 50-50 call, you're like, fucking the refs, Mahomes and the refs, Andy Reid and the refs.
But that, $9 paying at the moment for Kels to propose to Swift on the field at the Super Bowl.
Load up
on it, yeah. There's those sorts of things, and the gambling and blah, blah, blah. That you kind of like, how does this look at the moment, and how's it look? But actually, interesting on that, I did see that so far through the playoffs, bookies have lost money in comparison to making money from gambling so far in the NFL playoffs.
How?
Obviously, I don't know if they're underdogs or if their odds haven't been set right, but I don't know. They've been paying out too many winners.
The favourites have won every game except for the Commanders Lions was the only rough
people
one.
Loading up on them enough.
Loading up on the Lions or something, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's been a few turnovers, maybe?
Turnovers? $20.
Yes, people loading up on the Commanders, maybe.
I like to know your source as well.
I was ESPN that put it out there, so I'd have to go back and find it, but I did see them say that. So
that's right. Monks, you got penalty differential there, so where do the Chiefs sit in that?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. So Chiefs have committed 94 penalties throughout the season, resulting in 25 first downs. I'm assuming that's giving the other team.
Yep.
They have their opponents have committed 107 penalties against them.
So what's the difference there?
Difference of what, like 13?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that's hugely significant.
No. First downs given is 25. So
even Stevens.
Even Stevens there.
But that doesn't take into account timing of the penalties, magnitude of the game situation, etc.
I'd also look at what's the difference home and away. Like I'd say
they plays into things.
Probably.
Who has the best differential? Can you sort of that?
I'm assuming it would be
the Vikings at the top of the list there.
They have given.
We should see what the Eagles end up with.
Yes, it would be the Vikings. So they have 110 penalties against 141 penalties against them.
So top 5 on the list for differential is Vikings, Steelers, Bills, Colts, Chargers from this season alone. So again, a lot of the Chiefs refs chat goes back, a few years at least.
Yep.
Certainly a marked increase in that chat since Taylor Swift entered the chat. And look, if you want to buy into some conspiracy theories and you think about the eyeballs that she brings in, and when your Australian missus says, "Oh, isn't that Taylor Swift's boyfriend out there, you go, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe there's some chat to, some truth to the chat.
Maybe. It's still a commercial enterprise.
Yeah. I wonder if, like last year, you can bet under the overs for how many times you get shown on screen. 'Cause that went overs pretty quick into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially if Kelsey's involved in things, he'll be there a lot.
Should we talk some game? Yeah.
But
the actual game? We alluded
cool.
to
Because I want to answer
Kincaid drop.
Little Cartel's question about where the Bills go from here, but
Yep.
we'll finish after we say how this game went.
So, Chiefs were able to run the ball sort of early on.
Yep.
And Kareem Hunt was doing a bit of it, but Patty Mahomes was running into the end zone, converting on 4th down. There's a bit of that niggle after the DeMar Hamlin tackle. I didn't think there was a whole lot in that. He did drive him into the ground, but you're also trying to save a touchdown. Yep. I felt like that was fair play. And a little bit of momentum for the Bills going into halftime with that mad Mac Hollins catch on Trent McDuffie, sort of pretty much one hand, and then strong to hold through the contact. The failed 2-point conversion meant it was 21-16. And then the Bills had a fair bit of momentum leading into the fourth, that crazy James Cook finish where he breaks a tackle, dives, gets hit in midair, and somehow his core strength and just pure athleticism gets him into the end zone.
Yep.
The Bills... And again, this is where maybe my sort of rational brain goes when I'm like, well, they had a lot of chances to win this game as well. Like when Mahomes ran in that second touchdown, that was dreadful defending. They were pretty poor themselves on 3rd and 4th down conversions. They, unlike the Chiefs, who always seem to have the right play called for 3rd and 4th down, the Bills didn't really have great plays called. And the drop was the nail in the coffin. It was incredible that Allen was able to get that ball out. And look, it's a hard catch. It wasn't like Mark Andrews the week before where he really just had to fall into the end zone.
Yeah, he stopped, changed direction, and diving, trying to make something happen. And it sort of hits him in the hands, but yeah, it still
couldn't quite catch it. And they're pretty much in field goal range from there.
Yep.
Now, look, again, that comes down to a coin toss. And, we saw what the Chiefs were able to do in overtime last year in the Super Bowl. Yeah. But, sometimes you lose games by 3 points, and they're the difference makers as well, not just the refereeing decisions. Yeah, let's get to Little Cartel. His question, where do the Bills go from here? That's the second time they've lost the AFC Championship game to the Chiefs. I'm sure they've lost other playoff games to the Chiefs as well in the Mahomes era. What do you reckon? What do they need to do to be able to beat Reid and Mahomes?
Well, when I look at their offense, I think they've probably got what they need. Personally, you wanted to see Coleman grow and turn into more of a wide receiver, and I think Cooper really didn't fit, or didn't explode as well as people thought. So, I think they just need probably another veteran talent or some talent that helps get open for Josh Allen. I think the rest of the line's pretty good. The running backs are pretty serviceable.
James Cook is good.
Exactly. I don't think you see much upgrades there. And I think I said it. I can't remember the game the Bills lost. Maybe it was against. Did they play Lions? They got hammered by someone. I was like, I don't think they can win the Super Bowl with this defense.
No. They won that game, didn't they? But it was like a shootout 45-42 kind of game.
Yeah, where Josh Allen had to save the day essentially. So I think they need to help him more out, kind of like how the Chiefs are doing this year, where they've built more off their defense and not relying on Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball 30 times. Have 400 plus yards and 4 touchdowns kind of thing.
That's the most points they scored this year, I'm pretty sure. 32.
Yeah, exactly.
They haven't relied on Mahomes.
I think, try to load up on the defensive talent probably makes the most sense. I hate to say it, but Von's probably a little bit old and past it, even as a rotation guy.
Yep.
You probably need, better pass rushers and guys to get after it and play better on the line and cover. Not to say that Hamlin's, he's not the best safety in the world. I just think
he's not bad.
He's not bad, but I think if you're going to upgrade anything, just look at the defense and try to upgrade in those spots.
Matt Milano's a superstar. He also was hurt for a lot of the season. Maybe edge rusher they might go. It's going to be interesting with this draft because they'll obviously pick late. I can't see them wanting to trade up. They already have invested recently in receivers, bringing Cooper across and drafting Keon Coleman.
I think Cooper's off contract though, so he was like a rental,
a 1 year type of deal.
Yeah, well, he's on the back end of his deal, so coming across from the Browns. So
offensive line, man, like Deion Dawkins is an elite left tackle.
But he's getting old.
Yeah, he's getting old. They might go there in the draft.
I think their line's still good. I think their offense is good enough. This is why they're making championship games. I just think if you're going to upgrade anything, it'd be the defense, and maybe look at the secondary as probably the.
And
big
you go
one.
secondary, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to be interesting. It's so hard. Like early first round, you like first 5 to 10 picks, you kind of have a pretty reasonable idea.
Yeah, quarterbacks.
And we'll definitely talk about it in April when it comes around. But yeah, the later you
Senior
get
Bowl over the
the
weekend.
later you get into that first round, the harder and harder it gets to pick.
It's sad. I cared more about the Senior Bowl than I did the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I don't even have notes for the Pro Bowl. It's on tomorrow.
I thought it was over the weekend. I thought it was already
There you
happened.
That's where the Pro Bowl
Maybe it is
is at
tomorrow.
these days.
I don't know.
Well, it's Sunday over there.
Yeah, but maybe they did it on a Saturday. I feel like they might have
It's
done
flag football now.
Yeah,
I'm
it
fucking
does-
watching Pro Bowl for a long time.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was over this weekend.
Yeah, it's already
It's
happened.
done? Like the game's done?
Sunday. I
Sunday.
remember.
No,
there.
yeah, maybe
So
it's-
it's
it's
like
probably
tomorrow morning
Yeah.
our time. Yeah, you fake Pro Bowl fans. Gone are the days when Sean Taylor's killing the punter in the Pro Bowl.
Those were the days.
Yeah, Bills. It's a great question. We've only spoken about draft there as well. Free agency. You could load up somewhere.
Those positions is where you got to look. So I think you just got to load up on defense. Because I don't think you can get any more out of Josh Allen. Like he's already doing as much as he can. I think he just needs support.
Bro, he's Nelson in The Simpsons when he's throwing the ball to himself.
Yeah.
Literally did that one game.
The fact Mahomes completed 18 passes and threw 1 touchdown. Is that his total numbers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. He ran into.
he ran into, but yeah, you should win more of those games more often than not. Right? Instead of they gave up 32 points.
But again, 8 incompletions, so high completion rate percentage, and didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So I think that's often what it comes.
Letting him
down
get
to.
first downs, run, and then letting running backs get away. That's defensive line play. That's front 7 plays. So.
Yep. I like it.
I mean, I don't think there's anything the Bills can do. They're cursed. They gave the Chiefs Mahomes, so
Yeah, that's true. The other thing they could do is you got to get the.
But
ones
they got Josh Allen.
Yeah,
they did get Josh Allen.
But as well, if it's you
But
can
they
pick
gave
one.
the Chiefs Mahomes.
yeah. I think the big thing is get the 1 seed. So you got to play the championship game in Buffalo, not in Arrowhead. That'll probably help you a lot. So yeah, win all your games next year.
I mean, alternative universe, Patrick Mahomes goes to the Bills. Is the Bills as successful as the Chiefs have been?
Probably.
Yeah, part of it's Andy Reid's play calling, and the offense is always perfect.
You got to say like Patty Mahomes' numbers are comparable to say Bo Nix, for example, for
This
year. So you got to say that Andy Reid's doing a really good job getting enough out of them to, even though there's low scoring in comparison, they've got a good D and they're still winning football games. Yeah. Andy Reid got his 300th win. That's what we talked about last potty. So there's only a few dudes that have done that.
Cheeseburger incoming.
Unfortunately, we got to talk about the Super Bowl. I think the neutral would hope neither team wins this, but
You reckon?
yeah, well,
I think
no one loves Philadelphia.
Well,
Not a lot of people love Chiefs. So
Philly fans are.
Barkley.
yeah, Philly
Pretty
fans
ordinary.
will, but everyone else not so much.
See, bro, in the NFC Championship game, stealing that Commanders guy's hat. That went viral. And just like typical Philly fan.
Did you see that young fella that climbed up the pole?
Died.
Yeah, he died. 18-year-old.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
Grease them poles up, please.
They were didn't they grease him up in?
Maybe that's why he fell off.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. Anyways,
Sue the council.
I think a few years ago when they won, I think the council went through and greased up all the light poles to try and stop people climbing up it and trashing the city. I do love Patrick Mahomes as a entertainer, and his talent is maybe the most gifted quarterback of all time. I would probably want Philly to win. I think I'll be going for Philly in this. I like the Saquon story. I like that, people were laughing at it. Wasn't Skip Bayless, everyone's got the Saquon chat about it being a bust move going to Philly, and he put him behind this
Hurts is
offensive
going to steal
line.
all his touchdowns. He's not going to get any.
Yeah.
He did steal a few.
He still a few, but he still scored plenty by himself.
But it's also because Saquon was carving him up the field and
Exactly.
then you just push it in from the one.
Yeah.
So
If you're
that
housing from 80.
would be kind of cool for Aussies. Jordan Mailata as well.
Yeah.
Become one of the best left tackles in the league. It was cool seeing him blocked 2 guys on the
And AJ Brown.
and killed AJ Brown was collateral, and had to go apologise to AJ afterwards.
Yeah.
So there's a few storylines there. They're going to have it's going to be tough ask for them because the Chiefs have been there, they've done that, they've had the win over them just 2 years ago in Super Bowl 57, which was close, 38-35, but Chiefs come back from down in that one too.
Yep.
History says the Chiefs here. What do you reckon?
I can't make a decision.
You can't or won't.
Oh yeah, I won't. I'll sit on this fence. I don't know. I can't say. I can't pick the Chiefs just purely on hatred. So
Broncos fan.
but I also really don't want the Eagles to win either. But I think for the Eagles getting a win would be pretty good. I think for the season they've had, I think that'd be worthwhile. And it kind of breaks some of that history that the Chiefs maybe are aiming for. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs dynasty, we mentioned the 7 straight AFC Championship games, 6 of which at home. Made 5 Super Bowls out of that, and they've already won 3 Super Bowls. They've got 2 in a row, so they're going for the 3-peat and going for Reid, Mahomes era fourth ring. And the only times that they've lost championship games were to Joe Burrow in 2021, and they've lost to the Pats, the Brady in 2018. So Brady beat him in the AFC Championship game in 2018, and then with the Bucks in 2020. So you take Tom Brady out of the equation, and maybe the Chiefs rivaling that Patriots dynasty.
Mahomes might have 6. He might end up getting.
He could already. That's still a possibility for the world moving forward.
Yep.
You're fence sitting, aren't you, big time?
Yeah. Well, if I break down the game, defense, Chiefs have probably been the best defensive year.
Yep, I'd agree.
But I think Eagles
Offense, you got to give it to the Eagles.
Well, I think Eagles, just defense wise, I think they probably have more name value talent, like guys that are probably built up. More of them compared to, say, what the Chiefs do. But I think the Chiefs' defensive line is really what they play a lot of their defense off. So that is probably the big story. It's going to be in the trenches against that
Locking
offense.
Chris Jones.
Yeah, exactly, and Colossus. So I think that's going to be the big game. We'll see how the Eagles' offensive line can do going against up them, and can they give Barkley the lanes he needs, and Hurts enough time to, when he needs to throw, do that. Because I think if they take Barkley away and Hurts is going to throw the ball 40 times, they lose. So for them to be competitive, they've got to run the football.
Interesting you say, like, from a name value, like, you look at that Chiefs defense, obviously Chris Jones is a superstar. Trent McDuffie's one of the best corners in the league. Nick Bolton, regular season is pretty good, but is steps up another level when it comes to the playoffs.
Yep.
And you mentioned Carl Loftus there too, but not littered with superstars on the defensive side of the ball. Also interesting look at the offense. It's probably the weakest offense that they've had. In fact, not probably, it is the weakest offense that they've had in this Super Bowl run. Having said that, Patrick Mahomes in clutch situations is very, very difficult to go against.
Just see Hopkins show up and go off and get 200 plus yards and all the touchdowns, and him and Mahomes just tear them up. So,
did you see that list of games that DeAndre Hopkins has played with the quarterbacks that he's had? Mm-hmm. Top 2 were Deshaun and Kyler Murray.
Yep.
But there was some dreadful names. Names on that.
He had Big O for a bit, so Osweiler. So,
but heaps as well.
The Texans
were just turning them over.
Yeah. Who's in? Let me double check the secondary. Yeah, it's
for the Eagles.
Yeah, Mitchell's had a really good year.
Yeah,
it's a young fella, and Slay, they've got good corners, and DeJean's been excellent too.
Yeah. Dude, their secondary's good. Reed Blankenship's good. CJ Gardner-Johnson has a few brain explosions.
Well, this is what I'm saying. They've got a lot of good name values in their line with Davis and Carter there, and Smith standing behind them.
Dude, Zach Bourne, he's an All-Pro middle linebacker this year.
Yeah, they've got a really good name value.
Interesting.
Defense.
We both of us, at the top of our head, we lean towards Chiefs. Based off the numbers from the year.
Purely numbers, yeah.
But you look at that Philly defense. through each level, from a name value perspective, probably better.
Exactly. But that could just be the way they're marketed. The Chiefs are marketed as Mahomes and Kelsey, so it's slightly different.
You have to get the PFF for each.
And even
exactly. Fucking don't know.
But
they look pretty well rounded there from a defensive side.
I agree. And
more weapons on offense.
You think so as well?
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. So if you're playing the paper game, yes, but I think the big difference is probably Andy Reid. So
that swings it back to the Chiefs.
Yeah, and he's had a number over the Eagles for a little while. So
and there's times like you listen to podcasts and they'll have the resident Philly fan on there, and they're fucking Nick Sirianni this, Nick Sirianni that, and he loses 2 games and they want his head.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big occasion for him as well.
Yeah, it's a big rematch.
So I'm going Philly. You're sitting on the fence, so that means you actually get the. Well, unless you get Chiefs, then it's really fucking fence city.
I'll go with Steel's Nation. I'll pick Tuesday. So when it's all fucking over, that's the real winner.
Start thinking about the draft.
Yeah.
Next season.
Yeah. The combine's at the end of the month, so let's get ready.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, it's 28, 26, 27, 28, I think.
Great.
Yeah, right. Saquon Barkley. Yep. Him and Mailata. That's
So you're going for the Eagles?
No, just Saquon and
Can you get us some odds? They'd be pretty even, I would think.
I'd say so. I think if you just want to cover the Australian chat, I think they want to maybe angle the Eagles being an Australian team a little bit with that connection with Australia, and then of course with the news that they're going to come out to Australia for 3 years starting in 2026. Play 3 games in Melbourne at the MCG, likely to be Rams versus Eagles for that first one in 2026.
It's incredible. Hey, I thought we were going to get a preseason game. There's been a bit of chat about this for the last few years.
So, in-season game. A regular season game.
October, regular season game.
Actually playing for something.
Yeah, because I think the last one might be the Broncos when Elway came out and they played a preseason game in Australia. That might be the last time NFL game's been in Australia.
I bet the players are thrilled to have to travel across the Pacific.
Well, the Eagles hated going because they went to Brazil at the start of the year to play the Packers, and they hated that. So, but I think that's because they
quicker flight from Philly to Brazil than it is from Philly to here.
Yeah, but I think the big thing they hated about that was they couldn't go out. They were basically confined to their hotels, just to make sure they were safe. They'd probably be a little bit lenient over here in Melbourne. They'd probably allow them to explore a bit more. Maybe a little trip to Australia might be nice.
Watch out, the high rollers at Crown Casino might have a few cashed up Eagles coming in. So confirmed for October 2026, not this season.
Yes, correct.
This upcoming season. Odds?
Odds, yes. Chiefs are favourites $1.81. Eagles are $2.05.
What's the under overs? 48? 48 and a half?
48 and a half, yep.
Yeah, interesting.
It's in a dome, I'll take it.
What's anytime touchdown?
Anytime, so...
Not financial advice.
This is not financial advice.
Definitely not. Saquon is $1.59.
Cash.
Hertz is...
Not financial advice.
Yeah, if they win, 100%. It's got to be.
No, not if they win. It's just I think he'll score.
Cash. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Although I thought you were doing Super Bowl MVP.
MVP.
Yeah.
That's for any time.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, you should be able to find it. It'll be a harder market to find. Have a look.
That might be separate.
So, it's close, but the Chiefs slight favourites. They reckon pretty high scoring as well, 48. Pretty high for...
Well, it's not significant.
It's higher.
No, in the 50s is higher margins. We've seen 52.
Yeah, so
before,
it's higher.
Higher, yeah.
The guy that puts an NFL multi on every single week. So I'd say average would be 44.
Oh, okay.
I'd say low would be 40 and under. 48 is higher, and I would say 52 plus is high.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think in the dome though, I'm expecting points.
Yeah,
despite these defenses,
the last time they played 38-35.
Exactly.
In the Super Bowl. Super Bowl MVP, Patty Mahomes, $2.10. Saquon, $3.75, shorter than Jalen Hurts at $4.50. Then it goes out a little bit to Travis Kelce at $15.
Yeah, I don't see the Eagles winning through Hurts. I think if they're going to win, it's through Barkley, and that $3.70 is not bad.
Load up on Jordan Mailata. Wonder if
As an offensive player,
I highly doubt
unless
it.
he has all the highlights of 20 pancake blocks and leading to every touchdown, maybe. But yeah, I don't think
I'm willing to bet a fair bit of money that an offensive
been.
lineman's never won Super Bowl MVP.
They're
forgotten.
The forgotten guy.
Shout out to our brother Will Tabbs. We got into that heated argument in our group chat a few years ago where I said poor offensive linemen, but they don't come in the top 10 and the top 100 for a reason. But yeah, shout out to the offensive linemen. Has it happened? Lots of linebackers. I say lots of linebackers. There's a few linebackers, a few defensive ends, one corner.
Cornerback, yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks, as you'd expect.
I doubt it's going to be.
A few running backs.
It'd have to be early. Like if it wasn't early in the league, then you're in the quarterback.
Safety, a few wide receivers. No offensive linemen.
Yeah.
No tight ends either. I think that's right. Yeah, no tight ends.
Well, I guess Gronk could never win it because Tom Brady got
Brady always used to win them. It's interesting.
Or Edelman took one.
Super Bowl's a week away. Let us know in the comments who you got, who you think will win, who you want to win, etc., etc. Let's talk some coaching changes. It's been a carousel over the last week and a bit, as it always is towards the back end of the playoffs. So Kellen Moore is not official yet.
Is he OC for Philadelphia? I think he might be.
Yeah, so he won't.
He can't officially take the job, but
after the Super
the
Bowl.
Saints haven't hired anyone, and no one else seems to be there. Mike McCarthy pulled out, so if you connecting the dots, Moore's all that's kind of left. So it looks like Moore will go to the Saints post Super Bowl.
He's only a young fella too, isn't he? He's not quite 40.
36, yeah.
Yeah,
Just came across from Dallas last year or the year before. So likely to go to the Saints. He
Not that far removed from playing, is he?
Well, I saw the funny stat that he hammered Derek Carr in college in a game, so outplayed him.
Yeah, right. Derek Carr's getting older then.
Exactly, yeah.
So he's the only one that's not official.
Not confirmed. Everyone else is confirmed.
All the rest of these are official. Thanks, Steelers Nation, for Liam Cohen.
I don't think they're going to win a game.
Duval. It was like a I'm Ron Burgundy type. Check it out if you haven't. Him trying to do the Duval. That's a bit better. Sorry if it blew your ears out. You're listening to that on the job site tomorrow. Check out Liam Cohen's Duval in the press conference.
It's worse he doubled down in the next interview and did it again, and it was just as bad.
It's pretty ordinary.
Yeah.
Pretty ordinary stuff.
Terrible.
He takes over the head coaching role at the Jags from Doug Peterson. A bit of a messy-ish split from the Bucks.
Yeah, it was a bit interesting because the Jags still had their GM, and then everyone was turning the job down, so they fired the GM because Colin said he's going back to the Bucks, and they had a contract. He was meant to come in and sign it. He never showed up. He got on a plane, went back to Jacksonville. They got the deal done and signed him there. And yeah, it sounds like they couldn't get in contact with him. It was all back and forth. And then from that, he's trying to hire assistant coaches from the Bucks, and he's getting everything denied. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of coaching staff he can put together after the Buccaneers are not very happy with the way things ended.
I think by all accounts, we're going to pay him like the most money for a coordinator in the NFL ever.
Really? Reading between the lines, Baker said, I'm happy for him. I don't know how much you want to read into that anyways. Cohen was in line for a job that only 31 others have on the planet, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't really say heaps about why it was messy, outside of the GM kind of stuff.
Yeah, the back and forth. He recommitted to them and then didn't, and he kind of backflipped, I think was the main thing, with the contract on there. But, he's got to go and get the most he can out of Trevor Lawrence. He's got a history of, turning around quarterbacks. What he did with Baker is the reason he's got the job. So, that team needs Lawrence to be healthy and then do well.
So a bit of the timeline. So he must have gone and had an interview with the Jags.
Yep.
And then Bucks made him the offer to be the highest paid coordinator in the league. Contingent on him dropping out of the interview process with the Jags, which
he said
he agreed to,
yep.
and he dropped out of the interview pool. But then obviously, the general manager
Trent
got fired. Trent
Blanky or something.
Yep. And then
sacked him. Yeah, the Jags seem like a basket case franchise. So he's not walking into a good job, like an easy one either.
Another guy that's got a hard job to take on, but you'd rather go to the Jets than the Jags, I would imagine, is Aaron Glenn. So this is this there's two guys coming out of Detroit's coaching.
Yeah, Detroit
tree.
got decimated, and their
Victims of their own success, really.
assistants as well got pilfered all over the place.
So Aaron Glenn goes over to the Jets. He was a defensive coordinator on the Lions the last few years. Has also been defensive backs coach at New Orleans and Cleveland. This will be his first head coaching gig. He's 52 years of age, so about 10 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. A little joke there, poor Aaron. Watch Enigma on Netflix. I quite like it.
It'd be interesting to see what they do there as well. With Aaron Rodgers as well.
Or Rodgers. He's got this year in his contract.
I think, And what they do with the rest of the talent, they've talked about trading guys away and things like that.
There's talk about drafting a quarterback for Rodgers to mentor because you love doing that so much with Jordan Love. There's also, it's maybe a shallow quarterback
outside the top
class this year. Yeah, exactly. There's a big jump
most
down
of the guys went last year.
after Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. So I'd be surprised if they went quarterback. They've got other places where they could invest. He gets his first head coaching gig in the Big Apple. And then the other member of Detroit's, formerly of Detroit, was the offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, took the Chicago Bears job. This was one of the first ones to be announced since the last pod, but in the last couple of weeks.
It was one of the first ones to come once they lost. I think it was pretty much guaranteed that was going to happen. So,
He's young as well, isn't he? 38.
Yep.
It's Ben Johnson. So his first head coaching gig was at the Lions for quite some time. So really sort of worked his way up the Lions coaching tree. He was the offensive quality control coach in 2019. Didn't know they had that. Then he went to tight ends, passing game coordinator, offensive coordinator, then to go over to their rivals in the Chicago Bears. Funny how things work, isn't it? You do a good job for one team, you go to a bitter rival in the Bears. I kind of hope for Caleb Williams' sake that it goes okay.
It feels like a good fit with the way they play, like the Lions, their offense, and they do like to do off-script plays a lot and, the gadgets kind of stuff. And I think that'll work well with the way Williams kind of plays his game. Can use his talents maybe outside the pocket a bit more.
And then Pete Carroll to the Raiders.
To the Raiders.
Going to be the oldest head coach in the league. I didn't really see this one coming.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he really wanted the job, and Tom Brady's there and helping convince them and see what happens, what they do.
What's he been doing the last few years? Just like playing golf?
Yeah, well, he's only missed a year.
Was it just one?
Yeah, I think it's only one. Yeah, I think it's only 1 year.
Let's have a look. Just one.
Yeah.
So head coach for a long time at Seattle, 2010 to 2023. Had this year off. Got ants in his pants, and he's back at the Raiders.
Yep.
Or goes to the Raiders, I should say. He's back in the league.
He's a very young 73. He's not. He's not Biden.
Go back. So stood down 2003, 23.
But he's been an advisor
advisor,
at Seahawks anyway.
Because they had the young head coach come in there, so he's still in the building. But wanted to coach again, and the Raiders get him. And you look at the AFC West; they definitely thought they needed to compete better with the Chiefs because they've in 3 years they went from Nathaniel Hackett, Josh McDaniels, and Brendan Staley. Now they've got Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and Pete Carroll, which is
probably the most stacked division in terms of coaching prowess.
5 Super Bowls there and 2 college national championships as well.
Crazy.
So that's some good quality head coaches. In a very competitive division, they know they got to go up against the Chiefs twice a year, and they're important games to win to make it a playoffs.
Pretty insane. Pete Carroll's last 20 years. He's been the head coach of Seattle, the head coach of USA.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Obviously, he's had a lot of jobs before that, through the 90s. Yeah, head coach of the Patriots. I'd forgotten that.
Head coach of the Jets as well. That must be interim, I'd say.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah.
Which would be probably his first gig looking at this,
And lots of defensive coordinator gigs.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They're definitely a bit of a basket case the back end of the year.
Need a quarterback. Can they get a quarterback?
Yeah, they may not. They won a game that they shouldn't have won.
And then I guess we finished with the Cowboys, who promoted internally and didn't seem to really interview a whole bunch. And Schottenheimer. So I fucked it.
Schottenheimer.
Brian Schottenheimer, which I think comes from the Schottenheimer
Yeah, I feel like
tree,
he's
isn't
the
he?
son of Marty or a nephew or something.
Well, he doesn't have family there. Otherwise,
Yeah, Marty. Yeah, he's the son of Marty
Marty's-
Schottenheimer.
Yeah. So, and Marty's been all over the league. So obviously think another young coach that he's on the up and up to replace McCarthy.
He's 50.
He's 50, sorry. Yeah. But I don't think he was that sought after in comparison.
Yeah,
to
let me
everyone
have a
else.
look. This is his
What's his
first head
roles?
coaching gig.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinator at Dallas,
Has
coaching
been
and
around for a while.
analysis.
Yeah, it was a Jags.
Was an offensive coordinator at Seattle for a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm from Seattle. Maybe I remember him last. Bounced around the league a little bit and finally gets his first gig as a head coach, and we'll have to see how he plays out there at Dallas.
It's a big gig to get your first head coaching role.
Yep.
Definitely famous surname, that's for sure.
Yes.
You want to talk a bit of Justin Tucker?
Yeah, a bit of moppery.
Yeah, it was a
I think it's 10 actually now.
candidate for the mop of the week. Well, there are allegations, but when there's 9, maybe 10 allegations, you start to think,
Out of a 6, it's growing as more people are, hey.
yeah.
It seems like there's reports from all the way back in 2021 of being banned from massage parlours and in the local area, and more of that's coming out. So
yeah.
kind of like when Sean Watson stuff started coming out, it was coming out of everywhere, all out of the
Starts
woodwork.
snowballing, doesn't it?
So yeah,
The allegations are allegedly inappropriate behaviour amongst
massages.
massage parlours whilst under contract at Baltimore and quite recently too.
Yes, yeah.
Anything else to add from there? He's denied. He was
Of course, he's denied it.
pretty really went heavy on Twitter saying no, absolutely not true, unequivocally false is what he said.
Pretty sure Sean Watson did the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think he settled. So I think there was never any criminal stuff. It was all settled with the ladies involved. Whether the same similar happened, but yeah, Sean Watson was a talented quarterback that got traded for 3 first-round picks. He's not a kicker, so I'm not sure. Like Baltimore was like, yeah, too much news about the basket case. Even if you're a legend for us, you're still a kicker. Goodbye.
Well, and he was
It's
noticed.
a different story if it's Lamar.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's
denied.
Yeah.
With him this year as well was not himself.
Yeah, it was a down year for
So
him.
I don't know how much of this has been brewing, and he was maybe, I don't know if that's played into actually why he declined, or maybe he's just getting old. It could be a bit of both. But yeah, 4 or 5 years ago, he was the best kicker in the league. And this year was a bit ordinary.
now we know why.
How old is he? 35?
35, yeah.
Hey, they'll tear up his contract.
Oh, I think so. Like, if the league's if what they did with Deshaun, if they want to go the civil suit and do the whole legal thing, they were suspended him indefinitely until that was all sorted out. So if they're going to do something with Justin, they'll just again, unfortunately for him, he's a kicker, and it's very easy to just get rid of that and not have to deal with it.
Yeah, watch this space. We'll see what happens from a sort of legal standpoint. But yeah, looking at it, the way that we look at rosters and the way that teams get put together, a 35-year-old kicker is probably relatively dispensable
On big money as well,
as it
so-
is. So yeah, it'd be interesting
Close
to
to
see.
the highest paid kicker. So yeah, I think it'd be very easy for him to.
You got his kicking stats there? Is that from this year?
Yeah, that's this year.
What did he?
Where am I
So
this year?
go to his field goal percentage there.
What?
That's a game log. You got to just keep going down. You had it, yeah.
There you go.
70. So he kicked it 73% this year. These last few seasons was 87, 86, 94.6, 89, 96. So it was consistently
High
That's
80s,
his-
90s
yeah.
is where you want to be.
Lowest in his career.
lowest in his career.
Yeah.
73.
Yeah. By a margin as well.
See ya, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he's playing at the bank next year.
I heavily doubt it.
Interesting note that you had there from on a concussion standpoint.
Came from
So
ESPN?
fewest concussions since the start of the data tracking in
For this last season?
2015. So lowest in the last sort of 10 years. What do you reckon it is? I think the rule changes probably play into things as well.
Yeah.
Really trying to stamp out the helmet contact.
I think
Guardian cap came in as well.
The kickoff change of
kickoff,
rule, I think, is a
yeah.
big one because they really wanted to eliminate concussions off the kickoffs.
Yep.
So I think that's probably why you're seeing a significant amount of the numbers drop
Yep.
to this kind of extent. And yeah, I think Guardian cap I'm not sure if the science is great on the Guardian cap, but
Probably not long enough yet with the data.
Exactly. But
And the fact that so few of them are wearing it.
true. But the players that have been using it, they seem to like it. It's it's definitely a different look, but it's something you get used to.
Like the bobbleheads, the little figurines.
Well, that's the thing. Like, how far do you go? Like, you just keep getting bigger until there's no concussions.
One of those Zorb things on your head.
Exactly. Not a bad idea. As long as you can breathe.
That's a South Park episode, isn't it? They go into playing in a bubble.
I mean, on that, so players were self-reporting that increased by 41%. Just looking at the percentage there, so I guess the players
in theory
more aware,
more concussions. Should be
Yeah, and I think there's
understanding
more awareness around it. I think the return to play guidelines are more stringent than what they were.
I think that next point actually is also really important because they increased the number of players upgraded to safer helmets. So instead of going with a helmet that you've probably worn for many years, like through college, like that type of helmet, actually changing to what is the new stuff that maybe is a little bit bigger and less comfortable, but has been designed with more concussions in mind of trying to help with the prevention or limiting of them. So as well.
Interesting there. The new kickoff resulted in the same number of concussions, 8 as last season. However, the rate of injury decreased because the number of returns was up significantly. So that's interesting. So there's actually more returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So, something to monitor as they keep working towards it. But I think the helmet tech is probably one of the big
it's pretty
things.
Big thing there.
Yeah.
Especially because the amount of research that the helmet companies have been putting into it has been really significant. And I think the helmets they've developed in the last couple of years are so much better than they were even 10 years ago. So, and they're designed to flex and absorb. They're essentially like crash impact zones for like a car has. They've gone through their safety test and they're trying to. How can we spread the load across the face mask, for example, and through the joint, so it's actually it's in the helmet versus to your skull. So it's pretty impressive. I think that's a big part.
I mean, a lot of that does come back to like grassroots, sort of that pee-wee sort of leagues. Like you'd obviously want to keep people playing the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to invest in that safety, especially when concussions are becoming more prevalent.
You don't want to have CTE by the time you're in college, so.
Yep.
You're not going to get the factory of players going into the NFL if your mums and dads don't want their kids playing it.
Let's talk a little bit of college football. So Ohio State 34, Notre Dame 23. The Buckeyes, national champions again. Will Howard was definitely serviceable in this game. Only had 4 incompletions, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Running backs there.
Yeah, their running backs are good. So Quinshon Judkins had the big game here. He had 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Travion Henderson, who's been more of their feature back throughout the year as well, is also very good. Both likely to go maybe at a stretch late first round, definitely
I think second or fourth is
their
big that window, and depending how they run, I think is probably usually a big thing for running backs. Yeah,
we'll have a better indication in a month's time, that's for sure.
They both look very talented though.
A guy that's probably going to go first round is Emeka Ibuka. He had 6 catches, 64 yards, didn't find the end zone in this one. How's this? 205 receptions in his college history. Surprisingly broke KJ Hill's record. I didn't realise that he had the previous record. Given the likes of Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba in recent memories, and then going back to Chris Carter, David Boston, OSU's produced some pretty incredible wide receiver talent. And speaking of, Jeremiah Smith, their best receiver, I think, from a potential. Not to take anything away from Ibuka, but this guy just looks like he's NFL ready now. He had a big game in this one. He's likely to go again through the Buckeyes. Haven't heard about anything for the draft. I think you'd know. I think you'd know about it now.
I think they've got a couple of weeks to actually to commit. I'll have to check when the actual deadline is because they got to commit so they make the combine.
Just go Jeremiah Smith, NFL draft news. I think he's going to play again. Because he's only 19. He's not eligible, anyways. He'll be a Buckeye next year.
What did you think of the playoff format?
Really liked it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
there was no doubts or questions. Like,
Yeah, there is still a little bit from like who gets into that 12. I think, some people were saying Bama got ripped off, and then strength of schedule comes into things. And like Boise State, like brained it all year, but then they go to the playoffs and they look pretty ordinary because the Mountain West isn't elite. So I don't know if they. There's still probably ways that they could fine tune it, and having like maybe a certain amount that have to come out of the SEC and. I don't know. You don't want to overcomplicate things too much. I think regardless of how strong your schedule is, you can't lose 3 or 4 games and expect to be in the college playoffs.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll push more to play more regular. Like with this format, will it push them to play more regularly outside their? It's not conference, but their conferences.
Conferences. Yeah.
Yeah, like you end up playing more bounce across. You play, you line up, schedule it so you have more games against the SEC. Like you play outside conference, and to try and alleviate that, like, hey, your strength of schedule conversation is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to do it though, because unless they extended the season, made them play a bit more. Which, with some of the players starting to make a bit more money off their likeness and image, maybe they'll.
I wonder if we kind of start at that starting point to work down to that where you have I don't want to say a massive like college league that everyone plays everyone, but
130 Div 1 colleges.
Exactly.
Might be a long season.
But you play. Well, you don't have to play everyone, but you play your core rivals, and then you might play.
But they already do. They already do that.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm trying to build a schedule where you start there, and then you pick a couple from here and a couple from there. You kind of work out their strength of schedule, and maybe break it down in divisions. I don't want it to mirror 100% what the NFL ended up being, but you can kind of see that maybe that's the way it'll go if you want to address that problem of schedule in between conferences.
I think it'll lead to interesting conversation each year. This used to be how you decided the national championship. True. So if it's who's deciding the 12th seed, and you miss out, like tough tits, Bama, win a couple more games in the season.
It was the same thing. Like you get your chance, and you still have to win it all. So regardless,
that's exactly what we were talking about with the NFL a few weeks ago.
Exactly.
And
regardless of how you finish, you still need to. Yeah.
With the Vikings finishing 14-3, having to go on the road, they lose.
Yeah, well, you go back to Bama. It's just like, yes, you missed out, but you could have won more games.
This is a simple formula there, isn't it?
Do they all play the same amount of games?
Yeah.
14?
Nah, it's 12. I think normally. But having a look through here, it's also weird now because the Pac-12 doesn't exist. Really, there's 2 teams in the Pac-12, so they'll go to exactly. So SEC had how many? Texas, Georgia, Clemson, Tennessee. So still 4 out of the 12 for SEC teams.
So that's probably pretty good.
And then you got a few Big 12, a few Big 10. And then Boise State's really the only non-Power 4 to be in there.
But caveat, they won all their games to get them to there.
Well, the seedings was interesting as well because Notre Dame was the 7th seed, Ohio State was the 8th seed. So you think about like Oregon, who were braining it all year, and then they get bumped in the quarterfinals. Georgia losing to Notre Dame. They're sort of 2 different stories in that Georgia's strength of schedule very hard, Oregon's less so. You've got to win the playoff games.
Yep.
I like it. I think it's the most enticing format that we can have.
I think it was much better than it was last year.
Yeah,
and I thoroughly enjoyed last year, but I guess maybe the quarterback battles for last year and who was coming out for the future. So we'll see.
Congrats to the Buckeyes winning the 2024 Natty, and we'll see a fair few of their names called come April, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. All right, big story.
Big story. Hit that NBA button there, Monks.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up, bang!
It's official. I thought it was fake news when I checked my phone about 5 hours ago. Yeah. Luka Doncic is going to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and a few others. Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris included in the deal. And a 2029 first-round pick to Dallas as well. Utah also involved. Boys, what do you reckon?
Crazy. Wild. And then you got to start to think, why, and then what trajectory each club's, each team's going on. Like what? Yeah, it was interesting, and all the stories I've seen so far, and I think it's probably pretty much confirmed, is Mavs started this. Like they were the ones that called around, and Lakers took the bait and was like, "Hey, we're looking to move on Luka," and they're like, "Cool, what do you want in return?" And they started probably working out that deal because Luka's still pretty young. I think he's 25.
I think, yeah.
But I think Mavs, the big concern for them was one, his conditioning. I think the reports he's almost up to 270 pounds, so they're a little bit worried about like his size, his conditioning.
Surely that's Mayo.
It could be. And then, of course, the max contract being the other one. They're going to have to pay him big. And, whether they pay him that money and then see where he goes. Like, you're committing to him being your face of your franchise going forward.
For a decade.
Yeah, for a decade. Like
in the post-LeBron era.
Well, for the Mavs have to make that decision, and they've gone, no, we don't really want to do that now, so we'll move him to the Lakers. And they think, well, if I get Anthony Davis back, it gives us another big man that's a very talented, playing very well this year.
At 40,
touch on wood, no injuries for him because he's been hurt a lot.
He's
a little bit older at 31, but maybe win now and a win now kind of mode as well. Maybe we can see what we've got with the aging stars that we have in Thompson and Irving and see how far we go.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when they brought in Klay Thompson, you're kind of like, oh, that's a bit of a strange ad. We all thought they were going to get a big man in the off season.
Correct.
Maybe,
But move Luka to make that happen, like it seems wild. So.
Well, maybe they've been thinking about it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Who knows? Conditioning, I've heard has also been one of the reasons given. Currently out with a calf strain, but you bring in Anthony Davis, who's also
been injured more than Luka has in his
hasn't
career,
had the best run when it comes to injuries. And looking at their roster as well, we're looking at their depth chart before. Obviously,
other centers.
Yeah, they're going to have to move a center now, you'd think. Like Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, and who's their other guy? Dwight Powell on the list at the moment. You bring in now a fourth center, and they've got PJ Washington starting at the power forward. So they've really got 5, bigs. I think they probably have to move someone, I would think. Win now. I don't know if it's win now. Is it? That's the way that it's been phrased. You win now if you have Luka and then you get the big help with Luka. I feel like they maybe a step backwards even. Like Luka's when he's healthy, he's a top 5 guy in the NBA. AD, for as good as he is not a top 5 guy in the NBA. Marks, you got a head-to-head there. Obviously, more games for Anthony Davis. He's more experienced, but pretty much every other metric there, other than boards, Luka has him.
Rebounds is good.
Yep.
And even
obviously different positions.
Yeah, that's right. And that's
different lens, but
some of the comparisons were interesting coming out, trying to put it in rugby league terms or AFL terms. It's pretty hard to do that because they are such different body types and positions, but it's hard as well to do comparisons in the NBA where it's a 5-man team or 5 on the court. At least you got 12 on your on your books.
Well, nearly everyone's a superstar.
That's right. But then the elite, like the cream, is just so much even higher as well. And it's interesting. I think the Lakers won the deal because you're going to get fun.
Time will tell.
That's true, of course.
Yeah, if they go and win the comp this year, then maybe you've got what you wanted.
But even if they don't, even if they can't get LeBron this ring I'm
talking Mavs. If Mavs win this year, then you'd say maybe they won. But we'll see.
If he brings a ring, one ring to Dallas, that's it. That's done.
Yeah, you've done.
But I just don't see. Like you lose a top 5 guy. I'm being generous. You could call Luka a top 3 guy in the league. To be generous, bringing in a top 15 guy to AD who has been playing out of his skin this season.
Yeah, I wonder. It'll be interesting to see how this story kind of unfolded because it says that Mavs started the conversation, but I wonder if they started the conversation going back to that point of we need a big, we want Anthony, we want Anthony Davis to come across. Maybe they started there and so what's it going to take? And the Lakers turned around and going, well, we want Luka. And then, maybe credit to the Lakers office here. They've worked this deal and convinced Dallas that, hey, you've got Clay and Kyrie and they're good enough, and add Davis to it. Maybe you can make a run this year and actually win it. And then they've stood in that long enough and gone, oh, maybe you're right. And they made this deal happen. And then the Lakers are over there just going, celebrating that they I'd be, what's the movie, the documentary behind the scenes of the phone calls going back and forth of who actually pulled off the masterstroke here? Because it'd be quite interesting to see how that played out. But it's wild. It's one of the biggest trades we've seen in recent memory.
And also how out of the blue it was as well.
No one knew.
Allegedly, LeBron didn't know.
Yeah, allegedly no one knew.
And then
Luka didn't know. It was good. It was just completely no one had asked for it. No one was thinking. It was just Mavs picked up the phone. Lakers often what they were after, and they said, "Done deal."
And then anyone that wants to say that LeBron and AD had beef, you've got to watch out because LeBron will come after you. Because he said to CBS Sports, who was saying, reporting, LeBron had grown frustrated with Anthony Davis, and he's on his ex just gone, you fucking lie, and clown emoji, Pinocchio emoji. So as far as anyone else that follows the league is aware, AD and LeBron are boys.
Yep.
So it's taken everyone in the NBA world by storm, that's for sure. And a lot of people still scratching their heads, I think, too.
Yeah. I think for Mavs, it kind of makes sense with what the structure of that team is. I'm unsure about the Lakers. You look at the Lakers, you've gotten rid of your big.
They don't have a big now.
They don't have a big. LeBron can't play center. So.
He could probably.
He can pull it off, but you really want LeBron to be your center?
At 40.
Yeah.
Good that is for his body.
I can see that it's LeBron's going to retire soon. We need a new face of the Lakers. Who's that going to be? We can give Luka the Supermax deal. He can be here for the next decade. Like you said, he's going to be a face and we can build around him. But what's he going to do this year? Are you calling time on LeBron's career, essentially? Is he going to be able to push to get a ring? Or what are they going to... What other moves can they do? Because you were talking before, they don't really have many picks. So they don't
the last 3 days, there's been a lot of trade rumours about them going after Miles Turner at Indiana, who is definitely not Anthony Davis, but is a top 10 centre in the league.
Quality big.
Exactly, quality big. I don't know if they're going to have enough trade capital because we're looking at their draft picks. They've already given away 2 of their first rounders in the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah. They could trade another first rounder to try and bring in Miles Turner, and that would be really win now. Yeah. Yep. That's a pretty complete team. If you've got Reeves, Connect, Hachimura will go to the bench because Luka will come in somewhere. Yep. Or maybe one of Reeves or Connect goes to the bench, more likely.
Comes as the sixth man.
LeBron, and you add Miles Turner. It's a pretty incredible starting 5. But then, I don't know if they've got the chips to.
Yeah, and do they have to move one of those guys to make that happen?
I wonder if there'd be interest in a Reeves or a Connect, given how young they are, and if you're trying to set up, if you're looking 5 years down the track, that'd both be good gets, I'd reckon.
Yep. Yeah, LeBron's probably got some trade value, but I just don't think the Lakers will do it to him.
I don't think he wants to. They've gone out and drafted Bronny.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially from Le GM's, call.
Bronny James and Luka, that's the future, bro.
I think someone said that in our chat, and I said, I don't think Luka's going down to the G League. but he's still young. Got to give Bronny some time. This has just absolutely taken everyone by storm. Let us know in the comments what you reckon. Who won the trade? Obviously, time will tell. It may be one of those ones where it was good for one team in the short term and good for another team in the long run. And I think the only thing that's for certain is there's going to be a lot of Doncic jerseys sold in yellow and purple.
Yeah, I don't think either team gets significantly worse out of this. I think they could. Luka's still going to play really well, and they'll just have to see how they play with him and LeBron because traditionally both won the ball a lot. So, but he made it work with Kyrie. So
we questioned that dynamic.
Yeah, seemed to work well enough, but also they never won any.
That's true.
They didn't win the big one, but they've been good. They haven't won the big one. Yeah. How that plays out. Still, we've got till Friday for the trade deadline. Still. Jimmy B still out there. That trade you think's got to happen at some point. Who knows what for? And that's looking like another 3-team big trade to happen. Could be a lot of moves happening. I guess we can cover some of those. We can talk about those those moves that happen.
Yeah, let's run into the standings. The West, the Thunder sit atop. SGA is even shorter than he was a couple pods ago. He's into $1.30 for the MVP. They're about $2 to win the West. So the bookie's really starting to hone in on a Celtics Thunder finals, the two jerseys that we had up on the last pod.
I think if the Nuggets are doing better, the Joe could be right there with 22 bloody triple doubles already this season. So
he had 5 straight as well. You see that buzzer beater that he had? It was a 3/4 time one, like the gridiron type pass.
Yeah, he wasn't even trying, bro. He was just like, I'll just throw that down there.
So deadpan.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
If
they were doing better, I think he'd be in that conversation because I think his numbers are no different to any of his other previous MVP seasons. So
I'm starting to maybe believe in the Rockets a little bit. Mm-hmm. They've had a good win streak. They beat the Celtics at their house. There's big hype around Amen Thompson, likely to get Most Improved Player of the Year. Alperen Şengün is going to be an All-Pro or an All-Star, I should say. They're getting there. They're getting there. They're second for a reason.
I mean, they're still a Houston team, though.
How do you mean? Houston
it hasn't had a lot
Texans,
of
yeah.
The Astros are good, aren't they, in baseball? Sean, your favourite sport?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are actually.
Who the fuck are the Astros?
They've won a World Series. Come on, they've won a couple. So, recent memory.
The Grizz sitting third. They're going all right. I think they're 6-1 since the last pod.
Kind of separated themselves, I think, for the next bunch of
teams. That's right. 3 games ahead of the Nugs. We spoke about the Lakers. We don't need to go back again, but how's it going to look without AD, who's actually been really, really good?
Yep.
And then, in the future as well, how they're going to build around Luka and in the post-LeBron era. That's where all the chat will be.
Yeah. Mavs at 9 there, even though, just to go back on that trade, even though they've only won, they've only lost one more game they haven't won one more game than the Lakers. Like, they're only a game back, but they've played 3 less.
You said in a very roundabout way.
Yeah, I know. It's 26 wins to 25 wins is what I mean.
Very close between 5 and 11.
Yeah, so like my point being, there's the teams are in a similar spot this season already, and then kind of flipping your 2 big stars. I don't know if that significantly changes either of them. So, yeah, I think they'll still be chasing those other teams we mentioned that are up in that top 4.
I think it's so close that I think I've got the Suns and Mavs switched at the moment.
Oh, yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I read that yesterday.
That's
probably changed from today.
Yep.
What have you? What's the actual current standings? Clippers are 6,
Yep.
T-Wolves 7, Dallas 8, Phoenix 9, Sacramento 10. Warriors actually out of the play-in at the moment.
Yeah,
which is
at 500.
crazy.
Yep.
Spurs, you see, played Pacers in Paris. So they've done a couple little, they sprinkled a few little Paris games in over the last few years, but they gave them back-to-back games over there, and bringing the Spurs over there makes sense with Wemby going over. That was one apiece in that series. Blazers, Pelicans, Jazz thinking about the draft.
A lot of chat for Spurs and in trades and what they may get because they're still looking to pair Wemby with something.
Yeah, and lots of guard chat. So if they,
you think so?
Yeah.
Don't go trade for Anthony Davis.
Don't think they need a 7'4" freak at centre. Let's go to the East. The Cavs still well ahead, 5 games ahead. Grab a up-to-date standings here too, Monks, if you wouldn't mind, because I, again, did write this yesterday, but it won't be too different. Celtics in second. They're 34 and 15. Knicks 3. They get 2 All-Stars. We'll talk some All-Stars in just a second, but both Jalen Brunson and Kat are All-Stars. Pacers climbing up since the last pod. They're 4. Bucks dropped since the last pod. Giannis still putting up big numbers, but doesn't always equal wins. The big talking point that's kind of fizzled is Jimmy Butler. And the last month has all been, well, where's Jimmy Butler going to end up? And then this massive Luka AD trade caught everyone unawares. But yeah, that needs to be sorted really by Friday.
Got his indefinite suspension after being told he wasn't going to play, and he was like, "Yep, see you later. I'm not coming to train anymore." Yeah,
so he got his 7-game suspension that we'd spoken about already, and now it's indefinite. So he's played his last game for the Heat, essentially.
So does that hurt his stock in any trades?
I don't think so. It's a business decision on his behalf.
Yeah, it's well documented that he's not happy that the Heat haven't supported him for what he wanted, like what he's been asking for, and they're obviously sick of him as well. So it's just a mutual separation at this point, and they just got to get it done. Everyone knows the talent he is and how far he can carry a team by himself, essentially. So see who would want to pair with him.
And the Suns seem to be the front runner for that. Likely needs to be a 3-team deal. Some chat that Bradley Beal might be out the door.
Yeah, he's got like a 54 mil contract or something for the year.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
Moving him gives enough room to then absorb someone like Jimmy B.
Zach LaVine's name's been thrown into that if they do a 3-team deal. He's been playing pretty good, although he's out at the moment for the Bulls.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll know by the next pod. May know in the coming days. Pistons 7, they're about 500. We speak about it every week, but this is the difference, I suppose, between the 7 seed in the West versus 7 seed in the East. Cade, very unlucky to not be an all-star, I reckon. We'll have a chat about that in just a second. If there's one knock in his game, it's his turnover rate is the second highest in the league at the moment at 4.5. He's only behind James Harden in turnovers. Magic, Paolo Banchero back in the starting 5, not quite themselves just yet. Monks, can you get us a Dyson Daniels steals update? We've been tracking him all year. He's definitely going to, barring injury, finish with the most steals, but we don't think he's going to break any modern records. He may get the most steals in the last sort of 20 years. Then Bulls in 10 and 76ers we'll talk about in just a sec, because it seems like the big fella Joel Embiid just keeps dodging the Joker. But yeah, Dyson Daniels, he's playing incredible. Just his steals aside, his field goal percentage is like 47%.
I didn't see it. I just found this quote. I didn't see that.
That's per game.
Way fun that the Mavs GM, his quote was, "I believe that defense wins championships."
Yeah, well, they bring in a good defender, and the Lakers
All team.
Lakers D is going to get worse, really.
Yes.
Which is pretty incredible. What's his per game for
Per game?
Daniels?
It was 3 per game.
Still, it's down to 3. So he's gone like 3.2, 3.1 down to 3.
Yeah, slowly come down. People kind of getting realised what he's sneakiness.
It's still like 0.8, 0.9 more than second, which is crazy, which I think is Tyrese Maxey, which is a good little segue into the 76ers. And where's Embiid at? Where's Embiid at? Do you want to run us through? Can you read those?
Yeah.
The last time Embiid played in Denver?
Yeah, so we're talking about he dodged Denver again, and they had the Where's Embiid chat. Hasn't played there since 2019, and I had some stats there. The last time Embiid played in Denver, Tom Brady was a Patriots quarterback. Todd Gurley played for the Rams.
That seems like a long time ago.
He does.
Seems like a very long time ago.
Bradley Beal averaged 30 points. Tiger King in The Last Dance weren't out yet, and the UK was still part of the EU. So, yeah. And then follow on that stat, he missed his 400th game following that for his career. So he's missed 47% of his regular season games.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so of course there's some injuries in there. It's not just he's ducking everyone, but he's been injured a bit as well. So that's
47%.
Yeah, 446 games played, 400 where he sat on the bench, and he's paid about 125. Let's round it to $126 million, $100 million that is, to sit on the bench.
$100 million.
So yeah, I'd love to.
I can sit
that
on
kind
a
of
bench.
money. Exactly, sit on a bench. I can wave some towels. Come on. So yeah, some big numbers.
What do they do with it? His name always gets thrown in the trade rumours.
Hey, we just saw AD get traded, so anything is possible. They might go, let's build around Maxey, let's get him something, and see what we can get for Embiid. Like, it's not a wild thing to say anymore.
Speaking of Maxey, he's unreal. He's 13 games in a row, 25 plus. So if anyone that likes a little punty on the NBA, the consistency there is incredible. And had 40 odd yesterday. Total steals, Dyson Daniels.
Yeah.
So Maxey's,
There's a few in between,
Maxey's actually gone down a little bit. Dyson Daniels, 133. Second is SGA, 92. So he sits 8 plus 33, 41 ahead of SGA, which is crazy. And then Carson Wallace, Jalen Williams, Nikola Jokic, Tyrese Maxey. Yeah. Barring injury, he gets the most steals this year by a long way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, thinking about next year.
Yeah.
We're talking about All-Stars. It's a good little segue here from Tyrese Maxey. So he missed out. Probably the biggest snub, I think, was LaMelo Ball. For him to not even be in the reserves is interesting.
You got to mention after the fact that he had the most fan votes as well.
Yeah. So the way that it works is 50% fan voting, 25% players, 25% media. So I don't think it's any secret that the media is not a big fan of LaMelo Ball. Maybe the players don't really rate him that highly either, would seem.
Potential, yeah. Might be the market he plays in as well.
Yeah, small market probably doesn't help, but if he's winning the fan vote, then that market shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Correct.
Yeah, so obviously gets the media off him. Maybe his dad had something to do with that. I don't know. But interesting. He's got to be a reserve, doesn't he?
You think he'd
like which guards they went with? They went with Damian Lillard, Tyler Hero, Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland. Nah. Yeah.
Still tough.
They're good players, but LaMelo's in there ahead. Like, Tyler Hero hasn't been amazing this year.
Hero's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Lillard maybe there a bit more on his name value. But
Lillard's been good, but he hasn't been as good as LaMelo
for this year.
Or Tyrese. Injuries may be one thing. So he's only played, at the time of the announcement, he'd played 29 games. The starters, who we haven't even spoken about, but we will get to, Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell had played 15 and 13 games more than him. So maybe that's, it's like the MVP rule. You got to play 65 games if you want to be the MVP. You want to be an all-star, you got to be playing more. Maybe that's some of it there.
Yep.
Trae Young also missed out, leads the league with 11.4 assists per game, but I suppose you can't have all these snubs just being guards. So he's got to pick a team. So the East starters...
Guards is hard, though.
Well, in the East in particular, because the bigs kind of pick themselves in the East. No one... Like Evan Mobley's been good. Pascal Siakam sitting on that, that reserve. But Cat's been unreal. And Giannis is probably the first person picked.
Yep.
So the starters at the point guard, Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks. Shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, Cleveland Cavaliers. Small forward, Jason Tatum, Boston. Power forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee. Center, Karl Anthony Towns, New York Knicks. Reserves, Jaylen Brown, Pascal Siakam, Darius Garland, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Damian Lillard, Tyler Hero.
Going back to the Mavs, all-time fumble getting Brunson and Luka in the same draft and then turning it into nothing.
Yeah, crazy, huh? Incredible. Let's go to the West. This is like the old man's club plus SGA.
Jokers.
The old boys. Yeah, Joker's not as old as the other three. But in terms of name value,
yes.
At the point guard position, Steph Curry, shooting guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, small forward, LeBron James, power forward, Kevin Durant, center, Nikola Jokic. Pretty handy starting five.
Pretty good bench as well.
Well, the guy that people were saying was snubbed who should have been a starter was Wemby.
Wemby, yeah.
Yeah, so he is a reserve, so it's not a complete snub, but people were saying...
Did you pick him over Joker, though?
No, hell would need to freeze over, but I think you can pick him over Kevin Durant and have Durant...
7'4" power forward, that's not bad.
Yeah, he can play the four, I'm sure. The way that the NBA is these days, exactly. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, as long as you can shoot 3 points.
Yeah. And then reserves, that man Anthony Davis that we spoke a lot about earlier in the pod, Anthony Edwards, James Harden, Jaren Jackson, Alperen Şengün, Jalen Williams, the reserves. Yeah. I think there was only one, and it was a big snubbing for mine. Domantas Sabonis is very, very good at the Kings. He leads the league in boards per game, 14.4, puts up a bunch of triple dubs, can shoot the ball, plays good defense. I would probably have him ahead of Jaren Jackson, maybe ahead of Alperen Şengün. Yeah. I do love me some Şengün.
Yeah. Again, I think name value in a small market up against the amount of big names was probably going to be difficult for him to sneak in there.
Yeah. People sleeping on him because
I agree.
He's so good. And I don't see a world where he's not in the best 12 in the West. Yeah. Anyways, maybe next year for Big Domantas.
When do they still play a game? It's not the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, it's getting more and more pro bowly.
Are they going to play any defense after they
No.
said play defense last year and
There was
then
a
they did it?
they put up 200 a few
Yes.
times the last few years. The game itself is more and more.
Do you have a date, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's 15th to the 17th of Feb,
Feb.
San Fran. So a week and a half, 2 weeks away. But yeah, the game itself is a bit.
Are they doing a draft thing again? Or
Yeah, I think they are actually. So this is all that starters and all of it's really just for
for putting in the paper.
Yeah,
and
for your
then-
contract.
Yeah, exactly. Get your incentives, and then we'll do a draft.
Yeah,
and have some
pull
fun.
up. What are they doing this year? I feel like it's Shaq's picking a team, Charles Barkley's picking a team, and Kenny the Jets picking a team. Like,
Right.
there's
They're going to run it.
there's like multiple,
It's like
yeah,
a 3-team game.
and maybe 4. Can you find that?
4-team tournament.
Yeah.
yeah.
So 4 teams of 8 players.
Yep.
8 players.
Traditional
From
pool
the 12.
selected from All Stars draft. First 3 teams by the NBA on TNT.
But how's that work?
Yeah. So there's 24 guys there. So they're picking 3 from these 24, and then the other team
Fourth
is the
team,
Rising Stars.
Ah,
Yeah.
there we go. Okay.
So the first and second years.
I
Players.
guarantee the Rising Stars will come out and win this tournament
You reckon?
because they actually try hard.
Yeah, possibly. Be hard for a bunch of young boys to go out there and beat some of those names.
I know, but the other boys are there for a good weekend and don't want to play defense, whereas the other guys who might try a bit harder.
Yeah, it's a good take. We'll see what happens. Yeah, what have we got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
24.
7, 12, 24. Yep, so that maths checks out.
Yeah, it's
So that,
and
so the East and the West are going to go into
Stars.
3 teams. Again, this is where it doesn't really fucking mean anything anymore, does
Yeah.
it? Because
Yeah.
it used to be the East and the West play against each other, and I've heard Shaq talking about it and saying like, we thought we were the best because the Lakers used to win the West, and the Western Conference Championships was harder than beating the Eastern teams and all of this, and it meant something to them. And now it's just for
Just a
j-
free
j-
for all.
yeah.
Yeah,
Don't,
well,
don't,
it's
don't want to
just-
get hurt. And
But even in the format, it's like there's no East and West. They've named them the East
Yeah.
starters, the West starters, but they won't be playing together.
no.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting in that it's an accolade, and I like talking about which basketball players I'd rather in my hypothetical
Yeah,
team.
it's more for
Other than-
your
yeah.
Hall of Fame resume, etc.
Exactly, it means fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Anyways, the game that means nothing is in a couple of weeks, but shout out to all the boys that got picked. Be interesting.
Let's hope they have some qualifiers and challenges and knockouts too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the 3-point shooting and the slam dunk contest has probably been down the last few years as well. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they got for so Mac McClung's back.
Yeah. Roll him out. He's Mariah Carey of the dunk contest. Just unfreeze him.
Andre Jackson, Milwaukee Bucks, Stefan Castle, San Antonio, and Matas Buzelis from the Bulls. So yeah, interesting to see Mac McClung back. He just they roll him out when it's slam dunk time. Have they announced the 3-pointers yet? Oh, not yet.
There's nothing on here.
It might be this week that it
Yeah.
comes out.
Yep.
Cool. That'll do us for basketball. Obviously, one huge story. Luka, AD. Let's see what happens.
Big.
When I was going to ask when the Lakers and when the Mavs next play, like how quickly do you think they'll turn around and play them?
Let's have a look. It already will be set. So
Yeah, there'll be games.
Lakers versus Mavs.
No, well, just purely when the Lakers play next.
Oh, who they
Who are
playing?
they playing next?
Yeah, so they play.
They play each other 26th of Feb.
So it's about 4
The
weeks.
Lakers don't play tomorrow. The Mavs play Cleveland tomorrow. So I
Probably
doubt.
won't play
Yeah, I
them.
doubt AD's playing tomorrow. And then Lakers got a few days off.
Yeah. Play
So they play the Clippers Wednesday. So I
Maybe.
wonder if we'll see
Maybe.
Lucas suit up for that one.
Yeah, interesting.
Talk some soccer.
Yes.
Monks, I'll get you to put up the EPL standings so we can have a look at them. Overnight, not Forest put 7 on Brighton. Chris Wood got a hattie.
Where have they come from?
They've been good all year.
Yeah.
So really,
Yeah, like
sitting in third, looking like they'll play Champions League, although it's tight. City coming back a little bit. Liverpool continue to break away at the top. Mo Salah is very good at football. He had a brace, goes further ahead in the goal scoring ranks. And you guys see Everton scored in 10 seconds?
No, I did not.
Do you know what that is? It's the 4th fastest in EPL history. There's been 3 goals that are quicker.
Quicker than 10 seconds.
Yeah, crazy. I had a list here. 7.69 seconds, Shane Long for Southampton. Philip Billing, 9.1 seconds, Bournemouth. And Ledley King for Tottenham, 9.82 seconds.
All the century, though.
Yeah, it's all, this is EPL era.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll
true.
be in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. They look like 100 times just about through here. 911's pretty good. 7.6. Yeah.
Unbreakable record, that one.
Hey,
all the juice.
Viduka scored one for Leeds back in 2000 in 11.9 seconds. So, yeah, it was Abdullah Doucouré for Everton. They scored in 10 seconds. They put 4 past Leicester. We're talking about pre-pod. Marcus Rashford going to be loaned over to Aston Villa. That's the second big name United player that'll be out the door with Anthony going over to Real Betis in La Liga. Very ordinary social media viewing of in the world of AI and highlight packages and reels and all the cool stuff that can be done. They had like a slideshow type presentation.
Old A4 piece of
Of
paper.
A4. They were printed in colour. There wasn't
They
printing.
could afford that colour printing.
Yeah, check out Real Betis Anthony video. Or don't. Actually, just save yourself the 15 seconds. But it's interesting for United, sort of starting to move on a few players. And the Rashford one came as a little bit of a surprise, I think, for me.
Yeah. Liverpool's tournament?
There's to lose. They're 9 ahead of Arsenal with 15 games to go now.
And not Forest is there
Yes.
as well.
They'll play Champions League now.
They're 2 games ahead.
City does have a game in hand, but they're 6 points ahead of City.
Yeah.
So even with that game in hand, there's still
holding that spot.
another win ahead. Newcastle slipped up overnight. They lost 2-1, so they stay on 41. Chelsea have had a bit of a slide in the last 5 games, sitting there on 40. Bournemouth, they're sitting there in 7th on 40, and then a little dip down to Aston Villa. We'll talk about in the Champions League in just a second. Fulham 9, Brighton 10 on 36 and 34. Brentford 31, United 29. Relegation's starting to look improbable. Palace 27, West Ham 27, Everton 26, Tottenham 24. Look at that last 5 games. Draw, loss.
Ange is going to be in trouble.
I'm starting to get a bit concerned for Big Ange, which is...
That's a tough run, though.
Yeah,
Newcastle,
it's been Newcastle, Arsenal, Everton.
Probably.
They should be losing Leicester.
Yeah. Well, Everton and Leicester, they probably should have beaten.
Look at their goal difference too. The goal difference is +9. They're sitting in 16th.
Well, look at the teams around them, and they've scored 46 goals.
Yeah, so scoring's no issue for them. It's winning games.
Well, they can't play defense as well.
Well, not really. Look, compared to Wolverhampton below them and Leicester, it's conceded 52 and 53, and Tottenham's conceded 37.
Well, I guess everyone in that list between 12 and 20 is negative. They're the only positive.
Yeah. So they're winning the games that they win handedly, and then when they lose, they're losing by 1 goal by the looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, need to sort something out. Again, we've been speaking about it for the last month and a half, 2 months. They've been ravaged by injuries, which certainly doesn't help Big Ange and his previously title aspirations. Now it's not get relegated aspirations.
Yeah, they're definitely in danger. They're probably okay, being 5 ahead of the Wanderers, and Southampton's probably done.
So 7 ahead of Leicester, and then 8 ahead of Ipswich and bye-bye Southampton.
Who'd Southampton beat?
Bournemouth? Ipswich. So the team
that just about.
Just to keep it semi-interesting down there, but still out.
Yeah, Leicester could probably going to be out.
Yep. Talk some Champions League?
Yep.
So the 36-team league phase is finished. The top 8 go straight through. Some huge clubs like Liverpool, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Arsenal, Atletico, Bayer Leverkusen, Lille, Aston Villa.
Yep.
Those last 2 there. Shout out to the villains. And I couldn't really tell you who plays for Lille, but definitely not the big club in terms of French football, that's for sure. Bottom 12 will get knocked out. I was having a look. There's no massive names, although Man City did go very close. Yeah. They made it into this knockout stage by 1 point. And these knockout legs have been announced. So this is 9 through 24 in the league. Okay, I think they've seeded it by the looks roughly. So you do better in the league stage, you get a lower team. So these are the matchups: Brest PSG, Club Bruges Atalanta. Atalanta actually finished 9th in the league, so they had the highest seed. Bruges just sneak in. Man City, Real Madrid, massive.
Very big.
Juventus, PSV, Feyenoord, AC Milan, Celtic, Bayern Munich, Sporting versus Borussia, Monaco versus Benfica. Interesting here as well. City, the only English club. The other 3 English clubs, all straight through, proving again that the EPL, I think, is the strongest league getting around. At least in terms of depth, you can have a team like Aston Villa, where are they, 8th at the moment in the EPL, being in the top 8 in Europe as well.
Yeah, they play a very good club footy.
Yeah, the middle of the EPL is the strongest out of all the leagues. I don't think anyone would argue that. Maybe the high end of your Real Madrids and Bayern Munichs and the like are good in the other leagues. But yeah, interesting looking at the flags through this midsection. See a fair bit of Italy, we see a fair bit of Germany, France, Portugal. Throw the Dutch, there's 2 Dutch teams in there too. Yeah. So
and then the Celtics.
Yeah, one Scottish team. So interesting the way that it's eventuated, and there hasn't really been any like real smokies like going through. I think I had the table up here. If we look down at the teams that all didn't get through, like Croatia, Ukraine, Serbia, a couple of Austrian teams, everyone's favourite team, the Young Boys in Switzerland, come dead last. They're all sort of from smaller leagues. A couple of Bundesliga teams in there, Stuttgart and Leipzig.
Yeah, Leipzig's probably the one that jumps out of me.
But yeah, no real surprises there. So I suppose in some aspects there, it's done its job in that, the cream rises to the top. Yep. And then there's been a few sort of surprise packets as well with Lille and Villa, getting the automatic qualification.
Yeah. Oh, it's what we said. You win the games and you progress through.
Yes.
Just got to win.
See, what the team needs to do here is win the game.
Score more points than the other team.
Back to you, Al. What do you got there? Mbappe Jr., this is his younger brother?
His younger brother, plays for Lille.
How old is he?
18.
Wow.
18, yeah. I don't know if he starts.
I'd imagine if he's in Mbappe, I reckon he'd be pretty good. Wild assumption. Let's see if I search Mbappe in here. Will I see anything? No. So he's not in the top scorers at the moment. Yeah, interesting. Keep an eye on it. Ethan Mbappe, 18-year-old at Lille.
Ethan is the name.
I don't really see the problem with Ethan.
Shots fired at Ethan's around the
world. You saw Neymar?
Neymar, his contract's free, essentially. It opens the door for him to go anywhere, but Santos, I think, has been the rumour.
I was at his first, it was a preseason game, the first game for Barcelona, which was when we were in Europe in 2013. Because they flew him and Santos out there for him to play, welcome to Barca game against Santos.
Yep.
So it'd be interesting to see if he goes back. Is that confirmed? It's from today.
Must have been, yeah.
Yeah. Neymar, they're watching a YouTube video. Neymar breaks down in tears as he returns home to his boyhood club, Santos. Yeah. There you go. I'll be selling a few Neymar jerseys. How old is he? He'd be in his early 30s?
32. Signed a 6-month contract.
Yeah, right.
Finished this
season. Retire a bit younger, maybe. He's cashed up. To keep playing if he doesn't need to, doesn't want to.
Yeah,
all right.
Probably not.
Let's talk some final round. Israel Adesanya has been knocked out by Nassourdine Imamov in the second round. It was an overhand right, followed by the left uppercut up against the fence. Ref jumped in and a fair stoppage, I think. We were watching it all before. Last 5 fights, Izzy's lost 4. Where to next for the former champ, Shauna?
Yeah, well, post-COVID, he's hasn't had a good one. He's 2021 to 2025. He's 4-5, and before COVID, he was 20-0. So yeah, his record in the UFC it's not looking too great. And I guess he is also fighting the creme de la creme. Like he's got all the top dudes. It's this is a guy in 5th spot who's pushing for a title fight, and enters that conversation now with this win. So and he's previously only fought for the championship. It's been quite a while since he hasn't actually fought for a championship.
Yeah, I'll tell you when that is. It's a long time. Defended, won. Against Anderson Silva was the fight of the night. He was 16-0, February 2019, here in Australia.
Yep.
Not here, but, not in Monkey's basement.
Don't think we can fit an octagon in here.
Yeah. Oh, we might. We'll get a small one in.
Is he considered on the far end of the table?
That's it. Yeah.
It's be hard to run away.
So, to answer your question, it's a bit tough in the middleweight division now. We got Dreykus taking on Strickland, which we'll preview in a minute. And you don't really need a running back against new best mate Whittaker for a 4th time. And in that division, like Hamzat's probably the next title challenger. So, it's kind of a bit stagnant. And whether does he get another up and comer, and is he now officially a gatekeeper? That's not what you want him to turn into. But it's just tough in that division.
Yeah, it's just loaded.
Him cleaning it out as well. Like he's fought a lot of these guys too. So you don't really need to do a bunch of rematches, and it's tough.
I mean, not to take away from a fight night, but it seems like it's a bit of a dip going from like a main event to a fight night where like still made it.
Headlined,
headlining, but
it's when was the last time he fought on a fight night?
It seems like a fall from grace off that record, but
maybe he couldn't get a big dance partner is probably the other thing as well. Like you need a good dance partner for pay-per-view. But that's what I'm saying, that division's kind of stuck at the moment. It needs some clarity and some new challenges. Like he hasn't fought Hamzat, so that could be, but that's kind of
that's unfair on Hamzat because Hamzat hasn't lost and he's going the other way.
Exactly. So it's kind of stuck at the moment. They probably need to sort out the winners and losers of this belt, and then how Hamzat has his fight and the winners and losers, who's coming through, and then see how that goes. Because it's tough.
I've actually got the answer there for the rhetorical question before of when was the last time he fought on a fight night. July 2018, so even before Anderson Silva, he fought Brad Tavares on the Ultimate Fighter undefeated finale, and the one before Marvin Vettori. They fought twice, didn't they?
Yeah.
The first time was UFC on Fox in April.
Technically,
2018.
like a pay-per-view. It's not really a fight night, the Fox ones.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Because the UFC on Fox was kind of big title fights, but they weren't considered pay-per-views, but they were equivalent. Way to talk about it.
Yeah, so
definitely Gagey would have been a massive fight back then.
100%. Yeah, so definitely not where he was. But he's 35 as well.
Yeah.
And, the guys that we're talking about, DDP, Strickland, Pereira, they're pretty incredible fighters themselves.
Yep. Yeah, agree.
Anything else? Michael Venom Page?
Michael Venom Page got a win, get back in that win column. Who did he fight? He was the bit of a rising star.
Find it.
I don't know how to say his name. Click on that, it'll tell you.
Here we go. Sharabutin Magomedov.
Yeah, the pirate. He's the dude that's fighting with one eye. He's like Michael Bisping. Yeah. Him and Michael Bisping did an interview where it was 2 heads, 2 eyes.
Cyclops.
Yeah.
Is it the same eye, or can they like join together and have?
No, it's the same eye. It's both. They're both their right eye. They're missing. So, but yes, he just get a good win there. That's probably a big one. And then the heavyweights with Sergey getting the win over there, Rosenstrike. But all decisions, one-sided fights by the base of those decisions.
Heavyweight's fucked, like in that mid-tier. Like, because Rosenstrike just had a win. They just go win, loss, win.
It's
and
gunfight. It's just like, can you get
It's so hard to be consistent. Yeah. That's probably why it's so amazing of John Jones doing what he was able to do.
Exactly, yeah. Because you'll, especially in that heavyweight division, it's a gunfight, and if you want to make it to a title fight, you got to outlast. You got be, throw the biggest bombs and you make your way through. So,
Yeah, looking at the heavyweight rankings, the only guys that can have wins recently are the top three, and then
like win streaks as well. You look at it; it's there isn't many.
No. So keep an eye on that mid level in the heavyweight division because it is interesting.
Do you want to talk about UFC 312 here in Sydney next weekend? I think it is.
Let's do it. We talked about the Australian Open being expensive, cost of living crisis, etc. This thing is very expensive to get in, but everyone would have snapped up those tickets. That will be in the building next week there in Sydney to see the title fight of Dricus du Plessis running it back against Sean Strickland for the middleweight title. We have seen, like we're just talking about with Izzy, a bit of turnover in the middleweight division in, say, the last 3 or so years. How do we see this one playing out?
The first fight was very close, and arguably you could say Strickland won it, and like he had a better point fight, as you will. It was, stand-up boxing match, and maybe he defended better and had the better volume, but they gave the decision, split decision to Dricus. So it was pretty close. Dricus has that reputation of being the best shit fighter in the world. What he does doesn't look like it should work or make sense, but he makes it work, and he definitely has the power to back that up. So it'll be, I think, a pretty competitive, close fight again, and I'd like a more clear winner. It's probably the thing you ask for in this, not a contentious split decision again. So we will see how that plays out.
Do you reckon they need 2 more judges?
Go 5.
5 judges.
Yeah.
I feel like just the judging is so up in the air so many times.
They actually had now I can't remember his name. They had in the last UFC pay-per-view, they had an ex UFC fighter on it. Actually, this is the only way I can figure it out. He lost to Anderson Silva, Chris Lieben, I think it was. Was actually a judge, and it was one of the. I think Rogan was talking about it. It was one of the best judged pay-per-views. Like, it's like they were talking in the title fight for that. They lean into it. It was just like, all the judges' decisions today have been very good. And I was wondering because I saw Chris Lieben was one of the not Weidman Lieben. Was one of the Lieben. Yeah, there.
Got it.
Yep, that's the man. Was one of the judges there. So, I wonder if, maybe turnover instead of having commission boxing judges and more guys that know what they're doing is probably the right thing to do. So, see.
This dude also looks scary as fuck.
He was.
So maybe no one's going to question it.
He's your typical naughties UFC fighter. They all look like. Yeah. And then Anderson went out there and I think head kicked him. So, unfortunately for Chris Lieben, but
Chris the Crippler Lieben.
Yeah. So I wonder if that plays into it a little bit. I think people that understand what they're looking at should also be able to judge it better. I think it's the main thing. You probably don't need more. I guess it's
just better.
Yeah, better. And boxing probably you get maybe better judging results because there's also more to judge on because they have so many rounds in comparison. Instead of, you're picking between 3 or 5, you're picking between 10 or 12.
Yeah, so. And boxing's one sport.
Yes.
Whereas you always hear about it. Oh, this guy...
It's called mixed martial arts.
Yeah, this guy struck better, but this guy took him down 6 times and had more time on top. And how do you actually divvy up the different facets of MMA is different to boxing.
Yeah, I think judges that actually understand what they're looking at is probably a great first step.
To DDP's credit, has run through killers. So obviously beat Adesanya, beat Strickland to win the championship, beat Bobby Knuckles to get to that middleweight championship fight, Brunson, Till, Tavares before then.
Yep.
The bloke's pretty handy.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's there for a reason. So I'm just hoping it'll be a banger fight and they go back and forth. I can't really pick a winner because the first fight went about the way I thought. I think from memory, I thought Strickland won the first fight. So... and that's probably purely on volume and damage. It looked like he did more damage to Dricus over the length of the 5 rounds.
Monks, you got the odds there. DDP's pretty handy favourite.
Yeah. So he's favourite $1.50. Strickland's out at $2.61. Method of victory, it's DDP by points. From
290.
290.
They're in the distance.
Yeah, another 5-round war.
Yeah.
All right, co-main will be women's strawweight Zhang Wei Li taking on Tatiana Suarez. Zhang's looked pretty hard to beat recently, although the odds here are a bit closer than what I thought.
Yeah, Suarez is not an underdog that you can write off. Like she's very good from everything I've seen. Like
She hasn't lost.
Yeah, on a 10-fight win streak as well going into this. She had medals, I think, in Olympics. If you go back, to
I'll go back up there in a sec. So
right.
in the octagon, 10-0. She's just beaten Jessica Andrade.
Submission in the second round. That's pretty impressive.
Didn't actually fight last year, so that might be interesting. She's coming off close to 18 months since she's fought. Wow, this is interesting. So, gold medalist in jiu-jitsu in 2013, 2015, but also a bronze medalist in freestyle wrestling, 2008, 2010 world champs. So, we're just talking about mixed martial arts and the different facets of it. Elite wrestler and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's interesting she never was in the Olympics, but reading that she did a neck injury as well leading up to the 2012 Olympics. So that's why she couldn't compete. Interesting.
A bothersome disc. You often see different words to...
Thyroid, had lymph nodes removed as well.
Cancerous growth. Thyroid cancer. Yeah, right. So she's definitely had to overcome a bit.
Just click on the fighting championship.
Whereabouts?
Her career, one of the...
That one there?
Currently. Just if there was a reason for her break.
Should have it down here.
How our searcher was withdrawn from the
unspecified health issue.
Oh, and then, Dern took her over. Yeah, I do remember that.
So, maybe...
Another health issue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's been stuff that's maybe not musculoskeletal, like not the usual stuff that
considering she's
we watched in
cancer
fighters
in the past. You probably not disclose it, but you hope she hasn't had anything pop up.
How fucking tough do you have to be to
fight in the UFC?
Yeah, just to be
in general.
To
First
be there.
step, get into UFC.
To be there. Or if you fight at any level, you're tougher than the three blokes sitting here, that's for sure. But just incredible toughness to have fought cancer, never lost in the UFC, be a medalist in two different disciplines.
Yep.
And to be taking on this fight against Zhang Wei Li, who's a proven killer.
Yeah. Can you go to her record as well? Her method for victory, I think, has all been ground.
Yeah, well, with that background, you'd imagine.
Yeah, submission.
Guillotine, decision,
there was
punches.
Color there, submission, decision.
Rear naked.
More submissions than
a lot
knockouts. But be interesting because as a styles make fights, like Zhang Wei Li is very much a stand-up fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see how she deals with the wrestling jiu-jitsu background.
How many defenses now for Zhang?
She did drop the belt.
Yeah, she had it and then lost it. Yeah, so
I
it
think
doesn't really
two
count.
with the current belt.
Defended.
Two defenses.
Yeah, good
after
memory.
winning it back.
Yeah. So against Yan Xiaonan and Amanda Lemos has won it against Carlos Peraza in November 2022. But she also had won it before when she beat Andrade and then beat Joanna as well before losing it to Thug Rose.
Yeah, I think it'd be styles make fights. It'd be a bit interesting stylistic fight. So potentially why she might be a little bit of a favourite there.
Justin Taffer, heavyweight, taking on Taliesin Teixeira. Yeah, he's Islander heritage. Grew up in New Zealand, I'm pretty sure, but fights out of Brisbane. Yeah, we'll take him.
Yeah.
So born in Auckland, Samoan descent, grew up in West Auckland. When did he come out here? Played rugby league for... he signed to Melbourne Storm. I didn't know that.
In the under-20s competition.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Run of injuries left him disillusioned with the sport. And then he's been fighting, and he's been in the UFC since 2019.
So could he actually play for Queensland?
What's his eligibility here, bro? How old was he when he was 13? No.
How old was he when he was 13?
He was in the Storm.
He was 13. He was 13 when he was 13. he was playing for Maris in Auckland. We saw there.
Yeah,
at
so
age
he's
of
a Kiwi,
13.
bro.
So you can't have him
Okay.
fucking playing in the second row for you. All right.
All right, there we go. All right.
Actually, coming off a loss in his last fight to Carl Williams of probably not Melbourne Underworld fame.
That guy did.
In shit, edit that bit out, bro. In March of last year. But before that, a string of wins with a no contest thrown in there.
Can you bring up Jimmy Crute? It's good to see Jimmy Crute back because I think he's had a bit of a layoff.
Yeah, he had a pretty bad injury, did he not?
Find out for us.
28 years of age, Jimmy Crute. Crute the Brute. Yeah, hasn't fought since July 2023.
I think he took a long layoff because he was dealing with like concussions and that from his losses because he had, one draw and 3 losses in a row?
Was scheduled to fight at 312.
It's a good draw.
Prachneo withdrew. Here we go.
They've been waiting. He fixed his unhealthy obsession with this.
So like a mental health.
Yeah, I think he was like overtraining. I think it was some of that. And like he was really, because he was on the up and up.
And then had a few losses.
Like he was in that conversation of like when's he going to get his title shot kind of thing because light heavyweights. They get a good run, you can get pushed into that conversation. So. Also,
did lose to Anthony Smith and Jamal Hill. So
yes.
Pretty handy fighters themselves.
Yeah. So, it's good to see him back and hopefully he can do well, get his name back in there. And then...
Jake Matthews?
Yeah, I was going to go straight to Jake Matthews unless you want to talk about his opponent.
I've got no idea who Rodolfo Bellato is, unless you know much.
And Jake Matthews might have had a little bit of a layoff as well, it feels like.
No, I fought last.
Mid last year.
Yeah, once last year.
Yeah, it's not that many fights, I suppose.
Yeah, nothing too much. Yeah,
he's going to fight Francisco Prado. Yeah,
can't
tell you too much about their opponents
because again,
the odds might though.
Yeah, again, he was pushing into the welterweight division and then kind of had his hype stalled out.
So Taffa's actually the dog, 225 against Teixeira, he's $1.65. Mm-hmm. Crute's also the underdog, 218 against Bellato, $1.69. And then Matthews, pretty staunch favourite, $1.44. Francisco Prado, 280. So 3 Aussies / will claim Taffa fights out of Brisbane on the main card. Pretty cool.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
314 rumours.
Yeah, it's coming up in April. They're trying to put that card together. Originally, they had leaked some stuff that Pereira was going to fight on that card, but then that hasn't been confirmed yet. I think Kai Francis is... I missed a word. There's
Kai Kara France.
Kai France, yeah. Is scheduled to fight for the belt as the co-main. That I think has been leaked or potentially might have even been confirmed for that one. But the big rumor is Islam how do you say his last name? Makhachev is going to take on Ilia Topuria for the lightweight belt, which would be huge.
The main event for UFC 314 is seemingly confirmed to be a rematch between current featherweight champion Ilia Topuria and Alex Volkanovski. Per Bo Nickel.
Yeah. Because Bo was saying that I want to get on that card, so that came out as well. So, there had been a rumour about Islam maybe stopping there. Looking likely they want to put Ilia on that card at least. So whether he defends or whether he goes up, he might get an opponent. So, there's been plenty of rumours about that. I don't think there's anything official, Jimmy. Is there on that fight card?
No, nothing official. Yeah, nothing.
We spoke about it when Volk lost around about this time last year. Yep. In that, from being the king for so long, does he deserve to get the rematch straight away? Yeah. Or does the 2 losses against Makhachev, one being particularly nasty, and then the loss
short notice though.
Asterisk. And the loss first against Topuria, is it just too much and he's got to go out and win before he gets another shot? Maybe.
I think the big money fight probably makes sense to run Volk back in that division at the moment. So, I'm not sure. Is there much in the featherweight?
Let me have a look. It also it depends on Islam's cutting ability, won't it?
No, it's up. So Topuria would come up and fight for the lightweight belt.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, Islam's too big.
Yeah.
That makes much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they don't want to run that
Sarukian
fight back yet.
Yeah, so Sarukian, you'd think, should get that because he had to pull out so late with the back.
I think Dana wants to run him against Charles Oliveira.
Okay, yeah, right.
As a number one.
That's hard on him, man, to have the opportunity to fight for a title.
Don't pull out a fight week off.
It was like 36 hours. It wasn't even a week. It was such short notice.
You don't piss off Dana.
Yeah, I suppose so. And a massive opportunity, obviously, for Moicano a couple of weeks ago, but that's nearly impossible to go in there on that notice and beat the pound for pound
that's
champ.
the thing. If they don't want to run that fight back, there's no one else in that division currently. There's other stuff that needs to happen.
Yeah, because Islam's beaten most of them.
Yep. Or they've recently fought each other, and not a lot of wins in that column there. There's a lot of losses in that division.
How tall's Topuria as well? Because going up,
he's slightly taller than.
He's 5'7", so he's taller than Volk, but he's 3 inches shorter than Islam. I feel like Islam might be 5'10". Yeah.
5'10".
Yeah, I don't know, man. To go up against a pound for pound champ who's 3 inches taller than you.
Yeah. And you think he'd just out wrestle the shit out of you, but
and like he'll have to knock him out, which no one else can do. Yeah, I don't know.
Who else is in? Can you check the featherweight division for me? Back in those rankings, go down one.
So Volk is 1, Holloway 2, Diego Lopez 3.
Yeah, I don't think they really want to run Lopez yet. They're still trying to build him, and there's not really anyone banging down that.
What about that Mozfar Evliov? He's never lost. He's just coming off the Sterling. He doesn't have a dance partner.
Yeah, a 19-fight win streak is pretty good too. Yeah. He's the kind of guy that, though you
don't say that.
No. He's the kind
his town name in Russia is a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, but again, I think he's kind of the guy that needs a name. I guess Sterling. Sterling is a name, but maybe someone in the top 5 of that division to then push his credentials to be like for him. It makes sense.
All decisions as well.
Yeah, for him, which doesn't help. But he also lost to Lopez recently too. Oh, actually, no, he beat Lopez.
He hasn't lost.
Yeah, sorry, he's beat Lopez, who's actually ranked ahead of him. Yeah. So that rematch maybe makes sense. But maybe someone that's coming off a loss like Holloway, for example, might make sense for him to then put his conversation in that top 3 and I need a title shot. So I can see why they could potentially make this fight happen.
It's always fun matchmaking. It's only 2 UFCs away, so it's 2.5. It'll get announced pretty soon, you'd think.
Yep. So you get a fight camp in, they'll have to announce it soon.
Is that it for MMA?
Yep.
What about Takeshi Inoue?
Yeah, the monster. No, not that one.
Is there another one?
Yep.
What's his name? Inoue Nakoya? Noya?
Noya. Yeah, the monster. Got another win, another KO win, which was a shocker. Still, it's a bit of a challenge because of his size, whether he can get into some of those conversations for the other ones. But 29 wins so far. He's got all the belts unified. He's at that weight class in that kind of space. He's by far the best. So continues to knock people out and get wins. It's funny because Kim it was egging him on in this 4th round. It's like, come on, show me what you got.
Knocked him out.
Next punch. So don't mess with the monster.
So Inoue retains WBA and holds WBC, IBF, WO. So he's one of the few to have all the belts, huh?
Yep. Yeah, he's unified. Been unified for a while. Doesn't really be any contenders. His younger brother and older cousin. The other Inoue, I don't think was even related.
It's a boxing surname, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one that I was familiar with was Takeshi. And then, it didn't say him in there.
Sorry, I messed you up with the notes.
That's all right. It's a hard name. Takeshi and Tomo dating.
There's probably lots of Takeshis.
There we go. Inoue related.
No.
Not part of the Inoue clan, which features Noya and Takuma. So there are 2 brothers and a cousin, Inoues, who are not related to Takeshi.
Yeah. It's probably like saying...
Smith.
Yeah, Smith. Or All the Kims, are they all the same family?
Yeah. Yeah, you're married to Corinne. There's a lot of Kims in
Yes.
over there.
My wife's family's maiden. Fuck, how do I? Mum's maiden family is Kim. So there you go. Pretty standard Korean stuff.
Cool beans. That's the UFC. That's boxing. That's the final round.
Yeah.
That is on the Esky. Jeez, nearly 3 hours. Monk's come back and they're blowing out again, but that's all right.
You talk way too much.
I just talk way too much. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I asked the hard-hitting questions.
Giving us all the important stuff.
Like, how old are you when you're 13? I don't know, that was some other idiot.
A lot of NBA chat to get through, a bit of tennis.
Well, yeah.
So, there's a lot to cover.
Relatively big time of the year, given that we're big NFL guys and it's Super Bowl week. We can call it Super Bowl week just about.
Yep.
There was the trade of the year in the NBA. The EPL starting to heat up, and we had 45 minutes of cricket to talk about too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Next show, we will wrap up the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We might actually start talking some Aussie footy because we
very
are
close.
a month away, less than a month, right on a month for Vegas, and then the AFL not far behind. This is On The Esky. If you're catching this for the first time and you're at 2 hours 50, may God have mercy on your soul. But please do hit that subscribe button. Check us out on these socials. Thank you to the guys in the comments during the NFL section. Love the input, and we'll see you next time here on The Esky.
Bye.
Bye.